I transmigrated into the primordial realm and became a primitive spirit stone. From the very beginning, I was taken in as a disciple by the ancestral witch Houtu. But the first thing I did was pull my master into a secret chamber. I told her myself that the catastrophe of the witch clan was fast approaching. Master Houtu, you are destined to sacrifice yourself to the cycle of reincarnation, forever imprisoned in the underworld. All 11 other ancestral witches will fall and die in battle. From that day on, the entire witch clan will be driven out of the primordial realm. On that day, I dragged Houtu into the frozen palace. Master, do you realize that a great calamity is looming? This catastrophe is destined to befall the entire witch clan. Upon hearing this, Houtu was instantly terrified, her face turning deathly pale. I am already aware of this impending disaster. The murderous aura between heaven and earth has grown increasingly dense. But our witch clan are the descendants of Pangu. Why must we be the ones to face this tribulation? I sighed deeply. The witch clan was formed from the essence blood of Pangu. You do not cultivate primordial spirits, spending your entire lives fighting against heaven and earth. You show no reverence to the Heavenly Dao, nor do you respect the ghosts and gods. You only pay homage to your creator, Father God Pangu. Even with the merit of creating the world, in the eyes of the current Heavenly Dao, all living things are but mere insects. With the witch clan exerting such influence over the world, whether it is the Heavenly Dao or the Dao ancestor, who would permit your continued existence? If things continue this way, the witch clan will suffer an eternal fate of destruction, I said, as Houtu's eyes filled with tears. Although the 12 ancestral witches lacked primordial spirits and understanding of the shifting tides, they were still her kin. As the youngest among them and the one most cherished, how could her heart not be filled with sorrow? Li Qingxuan, tell your master the truth. Do you know something more? What will be the final outcome for our witch clan? Master, you will transform into the 6 paths of reincarnation. From then on, Houtu will be no more, and the remaining ancestral witches will all perish. The witch clan will suffer devastating losses, and will eventually be forced to retreat from the primordial realm. No sooner had I finished speaking than the laws of reincarnation erupted from Houtu's body, as if she had sensed her own destiny. I shouted loudly, Master, hurry and suppress it. The time is not yet right. You cannot transform into reincarnation just yet. With that sharp command, Houtu snapped back to reality, exhaling as she regained her composure, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. So that is how it is. Is this truly my path? I looked at Houtu, her face streaked with tears like pear blossoms in the rain, and my heart ached for her. Master, of the 50 great Daos, only 49 can be utilized, with one remaining hidden. All things in existence possess a single glimmer of hope. The witch clan is no different. Under the Heavenly Dao, nothing is absolute. Houtu's eyes lit up. Could it be that you actually have a way to change all of this? I replied proudly. That goes without saying. After nearly 1,000 years of deduction by this genius, I have finally conceived a way to break the deadlock, one that can surely preserve the witch clan, and perhaps even help you, Master, take a step forward. I shall name it the Ancient Mythical Houtu Plan. Houtu was stunned for a moment, wondering why these words didn't seem to fit together. Is it ancient, or is it mythical? What exactly is he creating for her? Houtu shouted in frustration, then gestured with her delicate hand. You better explain this to me carefully, or you will regret it. I cleared my throat. The 12 ancestral witches were all transformed from the 12 drops of Pangu's blood. They are primordial divinities, each governing a fundamental law. Master, you govern the grand Tao of Earth. Earth is the foundation of the world, subject to the transformations of the heavens. Earth is the vessel that contains all things. When heaven and earth were first born, they were divided into yin and yang. Once yin and yang were separated, they formed the 3 realms of heaven, earth, and humanity. Earth is the root of all existence. Heaven is the beginning, and earth is the end. Heaven and earth cycle through creation and destruction, a process that is truly infinite. Furthermore, within the grand Tao of Earth, it can be transformed into a special path, the Tao of Reincarnation. What is known as the 6 paths of reincarnation is the future life, just as it is the past. The past, the present, and the future all exist beneath the 6 paths. If you achieve the grand Tao of reincarnation, all futures can become the past, and all of the past can be recreated in the future. Houtu muttered to herself, the 6 paths of reincarnation. Having said that, she suddenly stood up. If this is truly the case, then our witch clan still has hope. We must not delay. I shall immediately enter seclusion to master the laws of reincarnation and create the 6 paths. I hurriedly stopped her. Master, do not be so hasty. If it were that simple, why would it be called the Ancient Mythical Houtu Plan? This is merely a small fraction of my master plan. Houtu was stunned, thinking that such a small part was already enough to lay the foundation for the ultimate Tao. Just how terrifying must the entire plan be if it is meant to save the entire witch clan? At this very moment, the look in her eyes had clearly changed. What else is there? Speak quickly. Do you want to make your master worry? Master, don't be anxious. Let me ask you, What do you truly think of the Heavenly Dao and the Dao ancestor? Houtu was stunned at first. The Heavenly Dao, you say? The Heavenly Dao manages everything across the great primordial land. All order exists beneath its command. And the Dao ancestor, by preaching and teaching throughout the land, acts as the representative of the Heavenly Dao, all done for the benefit of the primordial world. My expression darkened as I listened. Very well, another soul deceived by the Heavenly Dao. But it is to be expected, as many secrets in this world are currently obscured by heavenly secrets. Does Master know? In this primordial world, there should be three paths: heaven, earth, and humanity, all progressing together. The Heavenly Dao holds the operation of all things and dictates order. The earthly Dao manages the cycle of reincarnation and the spiritual veins of the land. The human Dao manages the rise and fall of emperors and educates all living things while sharing the same status. But in the current era of the Heavenly Dao, the earthly and human paths are hidden, which shows that the Heavenly Dao harbors its own hidden agenda. If you, Master, wish to use the 6 paths of reincarnation to secure a glimmer of hope for the demon clan, how could the high and mighty Heavenly Dao and the Dao ancestor ever tolerate it? Only by possessing equal strength can one earn the right to an equal dialogue. Houtu nodded, though she seemed only to half understand. In short, your own strength is simply too weak. If you were to incarnate into the cycle of reincarnation right now, not only would you fail to save the demon clan, but you yourself would be reduced to dust. Then, what should this seat do? I don't know when it started, but my master has begun asking for my opinion. I raised an eyebrow. Is it really that difficult? Currently, the demons and the spirits are the 2 strongest clans under the heavens. The demon clan possesses immense physical power, and while it may not compare to the great god Pangu, who carved out this primordial world, they are certainly capable of opening up smaller worlds without issue. And every world is built upon the foundation of 3,000 laws. You only need to manifest the cycle of reincarnation within these worlds. Deepen your insight into the laws of reincarnation, and finally, evolve the 6 paths of reincarnation. Gather the power of multiple reincarnations, and with a single step, one can become the master of the netherworld, walking alongside the Heavenly Dao. This is the only lifeline for the demon race. Naturally, only when all of these are achieved can the next phase of the plan proceed. Houtu's expression instantly turned dazed. There is still a next phase to the plan? Having already become the master of the netherworld and walking alongside the Heavenly Dao, could it be that this plan is still not complete? I wore a smug look, nodding with utter disdain. That goes without saying. If one is truly the primordial Houtu of legend, how could one merely be a master of the netherworld? What does primordial truly mean? It is naturally to transcend everything in this world, rising above the heavens in 10,000 realms to become the very source of all things, the origin of everything, where a single thought can create all existence. Only this is the true primordial state. Houtu felt a massive shock in her heart. If these words had come from the mouth of a common mystic immortal, she wouldn't have believed them even if it meant death. Yet unexpectedly, I possessed a profound understanding of how the great Dao operates. Everything sounded like a mysterious fog, yet it felt strangely logical. At this moment, I said mysteriously, our clan does not worship the heavens, the earth, or the gods. We only revere the great god Pangu. Don't you wish for the great god to be resurrected? What? Can the Father God truly be resurrected? Houtu had clearly been stunned by these words more times than she could count, and she instinctively replied that it was obvious. I continued, I have already said it. Reincarnation is the beginning of all things. It is also the end of all things. As long as we summon his true spirit through reincarnation, his resurrection is not impossible. Houtu was overjoyed and stood up, realizing this was truly incredible news. I must tell my brothers immediately. Master, hold on. Even if you tell your brothers now, they will not believe you. Why not try manifesting a small world first? If you succeed, it will not be too late to tell your brothers then. Houtu nodded. She knew that even if they told their brothers now, no one would believe them, so she had to test it herself first. She nodded, wearing the expression of an obedient, naive child. Seeing my smug face, Houtu reached out with her slender porcelain-like fingers to pull my ear, snapping, Why did you speak to my master like that earlier? Are you looking for a beating? You say so much, but you are only in the Xuanxian realm. I don't even dare to take you outside. You will stay right here in this palace to cultivate, and don't even think about leaving until you reach the Jinxian realm, she said, her expression turning stern. Master, you can't treat me like this. Like a swan turning her head away after achieving her goal, Houtu looked up with an air of arrogant grace. I am your master, so what I say is final. Do you have any objections? Seeing the threatening look in my master's eyes, I wisely kept my mouth shut. I have no objections. Anyone who has an issue with that can argue with you themselves. After giving me a good lecture, Houtu was in a great mood, channeling her ancestral power toward the void. The space trembled violently as infinite chaotic energy poured in, instantly manifesting as earth, water, wind, and fire. As the space began to stabilize, Houtu did not give it a moment to rest. She unleashed waves of golden-gray earth energy, forcefully pushing and expanding the boundaries of this new space. Within the chaos, time and space began to shift and rotate. Yin and yang converged, and the five elements took form. Who knows how many tens of thousands of years passed by? This small world finally stabilized. Life gradually emerged, and with it, the inevitable cycle of war began. The souls of the fallen wandered aimlessly across the land. Houtu channeled a sliver of her essence into this small world. Just as I had predicted, by deducing the laws of reincarnation, she successfully established the complete path of the cycle of rebirth. With all life and death now moving in order, the power of reincarnation surged back to Houtu, deepening her understanding of the great laws even further. Radiant with excitement, Houtu turned to her disciple and exclaimed, "I have succeeded. This method is truly viable." "Of course it is," I replied. "This is only a small world," I continued. "If you expand this process to even more worlds, I believe your speed of enlightenment will increase exponentially." No sooner had I finished speaking than a voice suddenly echoed in my mind. Host has successfully guided Houtu to comprehend the laws of reincarnation. The system had finally activated, and I nearly jumped for joy. After trillions of years, my golden finger had finally arrived. "System, don't say another word. First, give me 180 innate supreme treasures." This system does not possess such a function. I suggest the master stop daydreaming. My face immediately darkened. If it doesn't have it, then it doesn't have it. Even the starter pack was barely worth the name. This is a 10,000-fold return system. All rewards depend entirely on the master's own efforts. Please, master, stop having pipe dreams in broad daylight. Let's be realistic. My mouth twitched in annoyance. This system is definitely not my own flesh and blood. It refuses to grant me innate supreme treasures, and on top of that, it doesn't even provide a decent gift package. What exactly are you good for? System notification. Detected master teaching the Houtu reincarnation method, 10,000-fold return triggered, rewarding the master with the 6 paths order. A great Dao-level divine ability, capable of rewriting all karmic destinies, containing the power of reincarnation. My eyes lit up. This must be a powerful offensive technique. It can even alter the fate of objects destined for the netherworld. Immediately after, a surge of pure energy, vast as the ocean, rushed into my consciousness. It flooded every corner of my body, and I instantly sank into a meditative trance. I guided this immense power as it flowed continuously through me. Time slipped away like an arrow, tens of thousands of years passed, and a trace of indestructible great Dao energy seeped into my consciousness. In just a few breaths, my aura surged uncontrollably. Mid-stage Heaven Immortal, peak-stage Heaven Immortal. A deafening roar echoed through my consciousness like a porcelain vase shattering. Within my chest, the 5 chi energies of golden earth circulated in an endless, unstoppable loop. I officially broke through a barrier that had remained stagnant for billions of years. However, the power continued to climb, and not knowing how many more years had passed, I reached mid-stage Golden Immortal. At peak Golden Immortal, the 5 chi energies in my chest coiled and merged, and my consciousness erupted with countless golden rays of light. With a thunderous explosion, my cultivation base officially surged into the early stage of Mysterious Immortal. Above my head, the 5 colored energies gathered into one, the 5 chi returning to their origin, the mark of a Taiyi Golden Immortal. I suddenly snapped my eyes open, and a sharp, piercing light shot forth from my gaze. The golden lotus flowers that had bloomed around me began to wither and fade. Everything transformed and dissipated. My strength has surged, leaping across 2 major realms from the early stage of Mystic Immortal, straight to the early stage of Taiyi Golden Immortal. It was Houtu's first time practicing the technique of reincarnation, and the resulting breakthrough in her cultivation realm fed back into me, allowing me to span 2 major levels in just 10,000 years. At this moment, my master remains deeply immersed in her own world, absorbing the power of reincarnation. Several waves of immense, powerful energy are surging toward the Ice Palace. Houtu opens her eyes to see that it is none other than the other ancestral witches arriving. "Little sister, a violent energy fluctuation just erupted from your location. What has happened here? Did those 7 demonic monsters finally launch an attack? Tell me, and I will help you take your revenge." Zhurong shouts out loud, his face twisted in a display of impatience. "All right, everyone be quiet and let our little sister speak." Houtu tells them everything I recounted to her, including the experiment of pioneering a small world. She reveals every single detail. The ancestral witches are stunned into silence after hearing her words. Gong Gong loudly cries out, "Little sister, you say this was all taught to you by Li Qingshuan? With his pathetic cultivation level, he wouldn't even be enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. How could he possibly know so much?" Zhurong nods in agreement. "That's right, little sister. Aren't you being deceived by that guy? Zhu Yin lets out a cold snort. Do you think our little sister is as brainless and dim-witted as you? What he suggests does sound a bit strange and unconventional, but it is logical and holds water. If it is truly beneficial for our little sister, why don't we try it for ourselves? Dijong also nods. I think so as well. If our little sister has already tested it, and there are no issues, then why don't we, the entire witch clan, work together to pioneer this world? By then, our little sister's strength will undoubtedly see a massive increase, and we won't have to fear those two feathered birds of the demon clan any longer. Houtu nods and continues. Li Qingshuan also mentioned that once the law of reincarnation reaches great perfection, one can borrow the status of the Lord of Earth. Resurrect the Father God? Is everything you've said truly the absolute truth? The ancestral God can be resurrected. All the ancestral sorcerers were stirred into a state of uncontrollable excitement. Their aura spiraled out of control, tearing the very fabric of space apart. Thunder roared across the heavens as stars fell from the sky, while the chaotic energy swept in with the power to annihilate everything in its path. High above the sun, Dijun and Taiyi opened their eyes. Taiyi looked thoroughly annoyed, wondering what kind of chaos those Wu clan brutes were stirring up now. Dijun simply shook his head and consulted the Houtu Luoshu to divine the truth, but finding nothing, he dismissed it as none of their concern. Let us focus on our cultivation within the chaos. Only absolute strength is the true foundation. Meanwhile, the sheer pressure radiating from the ancestral sorcerers blasted me backward. I spat out a mouthful of blood, and seeing my miserable state, the ancestral sorcerers looked at me with sheepish expressions. Apologies, we were too excited and couldn't contain our power after Houtu revealed the method for resurrection. All the ancestral sorcerers nodded in rapid agreement. They called out in loud voices, declaring that whether it works or not, we must try at least once. When it concerns the ancestral god, we cannot afford to be negligent. From this moment on, the Wu clan will scale back their territory and ignore the pesky monster clan for the time being. Everyone will gather at Buzhou Mountain to pool their strength and forge a small world for our sister to cultivate in. Then they all turned to look at me. As for you, Li Xuan, why don't you stay at Pangu Hall to cultivate? This place is shielded from the heavens, and with our protection, you won't face any trouble. Zhurong nodded vigorously, adding, right, exactly. If this plan succeeds, you will have performed a great service. It's just a pity your body is too weak. Otherwise, I definitely want to spar with you. My eyes twitched. With my fragile frame, one punch from him, and I'd be nothing more than missed. The Wu clan and the Monster clan were the two most powerful factions in the chaotic realm, and every move they made sent shockwaves through the world. Currently, the Monster clan had yet to reach the heights of power they would see in future generations. Despite being pushed back by the relentless Wu clan, the warriors suddenly retreated toward Buzhou Mountain. The powerful figures throughout the chaos were left completely baffled by this turn of events. At the foot of Buzhou Mountain, Nuwa furrowed her brows. How strange, the Wu clan has suddenly abandoned their struggle for territory. Why would they withdraw entirely? Fu Shi shook his head. As a ruler of the Monster clan, he was so busy he barely had a moment to breathe. The actions of the Wu clan were truly beyond his comprehension. Could it be that the Wu clan is planning something massive? This won't do. I must send someone to keep a close watch on them. If there were really some major move afoot, it would spell serious trouble. On Mount Canlan, Tongtian watched with an expression full of curiosity. What exactly is this Wu clan planning to do? Are they really going to give up on fighting for the Chaos territory? Wan Shi Tianzun wore a look of utter disdain. They were nothing more than a group of fools who failed to read the times, yet dared to call themselves the true successors of Pangu. He opened his eyes for a brief moment, knowing that under the Heavenly Dao, everything follows a set logic. We still have to endure the bitterness of cultivation. Only possessing supreme power is the true path. Far beyond the 33 heavens, what could be seen? Hongjun Laozu took note of the disturbances within the chaos. He made a quick calculation, but the heavenly secrets remained obscured. Everything seemed to be unchanged on the surface, but in his eyes, all living beings under the Heavenly Dao were merely insignificant insects. Since the situation was already set and any minor shifts were negligible, he simply closed his eyes once more. Very quickly, the entire Wu clan retreated to the foot of Mount Buzhou. The 12 ancestral witches stood at the very front, with Xingtian behind them. Huafu, Houyi, Zhufeng, and other great witches followed close by. Behind them stood countless witch spirits and lesser witches, and legions of witch soldiers. The 12 ancestral witches looked at each other and shouted aloud, "Heavenly Dao above! We, the Wu clan, are the true successors of Pangu. We sense the deficiency in the origin of the chaotic world created by our Father God. Now, we unite the strength of our entire clan to open millions of worlds and reinforce the origin of the chaotic realm." Instantly, countless members of the Wu clan struck out into the void. The void trembled as the elements of earth, water, wind, and fire manifested, and millions of small worlds appeared at the foot of Mount Buzhou. In the midst of the chaos, a group of powerful beings was stunned by the actions of the Wu clan. Initially, they thought the Wu clan retreating to Mount Buzhou was the prelude to some grand scheme. The entire monster clan had been in a state of panic, but they never expected the Wu clan was simply busy creating small worlds. Some curious experts even tried to create their own worlds as well. However, they discovered that while it provided a slight boost in power, it was extremely limited. It wasn't even as efficient. The demon tribe was left completely bewildered. Fuxi learned of the witch tribe's movements and immediately reported them to Dijun and Taiyi, who were currently in seclusion within the Sun Star. The demon tribe mobilized their forces in response, only to discover that the witch tribe was creating miniature worlds. Taiyi scratched his head, filled with curiosity. "Big brother, do you have any idea what these witches are up to? Could it be that they are only creating a few small worlds?" Daijun shook his head and cast a sidelong glance at him. "You're asking me? Who am I supposed to ask?" Everyone turned their gazes toward Fuxi. Fuxi made a few calculations, but the heavenly secrets were obscured, and nothing unusual could be divined. Daijun pondered for a moment, deciding not to care what the witches were planning. Since they had taken the initiative to retreat to Mount Buzhou, a power vacuum had conveniently emerged in their former territories. If we seize this opportunity to fill the void, it will undoubtedly elevate the strength of the demon tribe to a new height. Taiyi's eyes lit up. Big brother is right. That is exactly it. If heaven gives you a gift and you refuse it, you will only invite disaster. Our demon tribe will surely become even more glorious. Very quickly, the demon army set out, seizing the majority of the chaotic territories and forcing many other tribes to join their ranks. In an instant, the strength of the demon tribe grew to an unprecedented level. Zhurong watched what was unfolding in the chaos with his divine sense, filled with fury. Those two feathered birds certainly know how to seize an opportunity. If it were before, I would have definitely taught them a lesson. Dijang shook his head meaningfully. Do not be rash. The most urgent matter right now is creating these miniature worlds to help our sister increase her power. Everything else can be put on hold. Have you forgotten what our sister told us? Although Zhurong was displeased, he forced himself to suppress his impulses, venting his rage onto the surrounding void instead. The void shattered, only to immediately reshape into new spatial fissures. Hongjun witnessed this scene and was momentarily stunned. According to the plans of the Heavenly Dao, the witch tribe was supposed to be at their peak right now. Only after the demons discovered the 33 heavens and built their celestial court, completed the heavenly marriage, and perfected the heavenly stars formation would the power of the witches and demons be balanced. But now that the witch tribe has taken the initiative to pull back, and the strength of the demon tribe continues to swell uncontrollably, the balance has been shattered. Yet just by thinking that under the Heavenly Dao, nothing could ever escape his calculations, he decided not to concern himself with it any further. Closing his eyes as flashes of lightning streaked through the hall, he sat atop a stone, lost in deep contemplation. As the witch tribe continued to open up more and more realms, the power radiating from Houtu grew increasingly mysterious. With her cultivation skyrocketing, a portion of that energy flowed back to empower me. My own cultivation soared instantly to the peak of the Taiyi Golden Immortal stage. Tens of thousands of years passed in the blink of an eye, and through constant warfare, the demon tribe had become terrifyingly strong. Emperor Jun and Taiyi once again arrived at the North Sea, recruiting Kunpeng as their demon master. The power of the demon tribe reached unprecedented heights. In contrast, the witch tribe remained remarkably low-key. Beyond expanding the world beneath the foot of Mount Buzhou, they made no other moves. That very day, Emperor Jun, Eastern Emperor Taiyi, Demon Master Kunpeng, the Demon Emperor, and the 10 great demon saints gathered within the sun. The Emperor declared loudly, "My friends, after this long period of development, the strength of our demon tribe has grown exponentially. Currently, the entire witch tribe is huddled at the foot of Mount Buzhou. I intend to lead the army myself and wipe out the witch tribe once and for all. When that day comes, the entire primordial world will belong to our demon tribe." Every member of the demon tribe erupted with excitement. Originally, the powers of the witch and demon tribes were evenly matched, with neither side able to gain the upper hand, but the witches had suddenly retreated. Their strength was no longer on par with the demons. The plan was unanimously approved by the leadership, and countless demon soldiers were mobilized, charging aggressively toward Mount Buzhou. Within the void, a group of powerful beings was captivated by this unfolding spectacle. Ever since the witch tribe went into seclusion, the demon tribe had turned the world into a state of total chaos. Now, these two titans were finally about to clash, yet most of the experts did not think the witch tribe stood a chance. On Mount Qilin, Laozi watched the aggressive demon army and let out a long sigh. Given the true power of the witch tribe, they should have been able to stand toe-to-toe with the demons, but this turn of events is truly a pity. Kongqian nodded in agreement. More than that, I am far more curious about what could have possibly caused the entire Witch tribe to retreat to the foot of Mount Buzhou. There is surely a great secret hidden here. Wan Qi Tianzun scoffed, relying on them. A bunch of brutes who don't cultivate their primordial spirits and only possess raw, mindless power. What kind of secret could they have? In my eyes, they are just waiting to be slaughtered. The demon tribe charged into Mount Buzhou as Eastern Emperor Taiyi unleashed the Chaos Bell. As the bell chimed, the stars fell silent, and the space rippled, causing many weak witch soldiers to suffer heavy casualties. Gong-Gong's face turned ghastly, pointing a finger at Donghuang Taiyi in a fit of rage. You feathered bird, do you dare come here looking for death? Taiyi let out a cold snort. If it were before, I might have feared you, but now the entire primordial land belongs to my demon clan. What else do I have to fear? Countless demon soldiers roared, the sound echoing across the primordial land, causing many powerful beings to tremble. At this moment, the 12 ancestral sorcerers stepped forward. My children, these feathered beasts have come to our doorstep. We are the descendants of the Father God. Naturally, we must fight the heavens and the earth without fear. Children, follow me and slaughter them. Countless sorcerer soldiers roared and charged into battle against the demon army. The two clans unleashed millions of soldiers into a massive war, spreading across the primordial land, with the main battlefield centered at Mount Buzhou. Donghuang Taiyi wielded the Chaos Bell, single-handedly holding off Gong-Gong, Zhurong, Xuanming, Changliang, and Shebi Shi, 5 great ancestral sorcerers, joined by Fuxi, Dijin, and Kunpeng, fought in a clash of top-tier powerhouses evenly matched. However, the demon clan had spent this time gathering most of the clans across the primordial land, giving them an overwhelming advantage in numbers. Even though the physical bodies of the sorcerer clan were immensely strong, each warrior had to face over a dozen demons of the same rank. In just a short time, they suffered significant losses. Zhurong watched as more and more sorcerer warriors fell, his heart burning with rage. You two feathered birds have gone too far. I swear I will never let you off. Donghuang Taiyi laughed, holding the Chaos Bell, his expression smug. If you have the ability, then come and get me. Shatter my Chaos Bell first, then we can talk. The sorcerer clan had fallen into a disadvantage, and in the void, a group of powerful beings sighed helplessly, thinking, if we knew it would come to this, why did we ever start? Back then, how powerful the sorcerer clan truly was. Yet for the sake of a little merit, they opened up minor worlds, wasting the opportunity to seize the primordial land, truly losing the Seeing that the Wu clan could no longer hold out, Emperor Jun was overjoyed. He let out a furious roar. Today, the sons of the demon clan shall become the rulers of chaos. Listen to my command and form the primordial Heluo formation. Emperor Jun summoned the river chart and Luo book. Tens of thousands of great demons and demon gods immediately took their positions. Countless stars descended from the heavens and crashed directly into the Wu clan camp. Many members of the Wu clan died tragic deaths on the spot. Ancestor Wu Dijiang's expression turned grim as he used the power of space to charge into the formation. He wanted to break the array by himself, but the river chart and Luo book served as its core. It had gathered the power of the entire demon clan. Endless starlight poured toward him as if it would never run dry. Dijiang spat out a mouthful of blood, his face turning pale. The other ancestor Wus wanted to help, but they were stopped by Donghuang Taiyi. Fuxi and the others also blocked their path. Emperor Jun wore a smug expression. Dijiang, this emperor will give you one chance. If you lead the entire Wu clan and submit to my demon clan, I will spare your life. I can even let you govern a region as a great emperor. What do you say? The mighty experts watching from chaos were completely shocked. On Penglai Island, Donghuang expression darkened. He had originally thought that the Wu clan and demon clan would destroy each other, allowing him to reap the benefits. But if the Wu clan and demon clan joined forces, who in all of chaos could stand against them? Mount Kunlun, Huoyan Cave, Spirit Mountain, and the North Sea, countless factions were all watching this battle. Dijiang cursed in fury. You feathered beasts actually think you can make us submit? We respect neither heaven nor earth, worship neither ghosts nor gods. The Wu clan battles against heaven and earth itself. Aside from Father God, no one can make us bow. A vicious glint flashed through Emperor Jun's eyes. Since you refuse to listen, don't blame me for showing no mercy. Emperor Jun spat out a mouthful of essence blood, causing the river chart and Luo book to shine brilliantly. Faint traces of Heavenly Dao laws emerged within the primordial Heluo formation as endless pressure crushed down upon Dijiang. Dijiang spat out another mouthful of blood. It was obvious that he was reaching his limit. Emperor Jun's heart trembled with excitement. This was only the power of the primordial Heluo formation. Through his deductions, Fuxi had discovered that an even more terrifying formation, the Zhoutian Star Formation, was hidden within the river chart and Luo book. Emperor Jun secretly raised his head and glanced towards Zixiao Palace deep within chaos. Meanwhile, inside chaos, Patriarch Hongjun's expression had become incomparably gloomy. The Emperor caught his gaze. It seems the expansion of the demon clan has fueled his arrogance. What is the matter? Do you wish to clash with the Heavenly Dao? Hongjun calculated for a moment and felt that something was off. Although the demon clan is expanding aggressively, they have not yet reached the point of crushing the Wu clan, but if it truly reaches a point beyond control, it will not be too late to intervene. After all, the Great Tribulation has not yet begun, even though everyone believed Dijiang is about to reach his limit. Suddenly, waves of golden earthen energy surged from beneath Mount Buzhou. It poured into the Grand Formation, wrapping tightly around Dijiang. In a single instant, Dijiang appeared at the foot of Mount Buzhou. Standing beside him was a woman with extraordinary presence. It was the mentor of Houtu. The other ancestors could not hide their excitement upon seeing Houtu return. Little sister, you have finally returned. Ha ha! You birds, your time is up. The various powers in the chaos finally realized why they felt something was wrong. So, it was because Houtu had been absent all this time. The Emperor was startled to see Houtu rescue Dijiang, but he quickly concealed his shock. It is merely one more person coming to their death. It makes no difference whether you came or not. Today, this Emperor will send you all on your way together. The Emperor unleashed the Hitsu Luoshu and the Chaos Bell. The two attacks, carrying destructive power, surged toward Houtu. Houtu's green robes fluttered slightly as she cried out, "How outrageous! In my presence, you two have no right to show off." Suddenly, the entire land of the chaos seemed to react, as countless forces of origin gathered toward Houtu. She pointed a finger, white as jade, and ripples appeared in the void. The Hetu Luoshu and the Chaos Bell were struck by an irresistible force and were frozen directly in mid-air. The various experts watching from the chaos were stunned. Heavens, is this really Houtu? How could she be so powerful? To think she could face two great demon emperors all by herself. Could it be that the Emperor and Donghuang Taiyi are just putting on an act for us to watch? Perhaps she's looking at them, so Houtu has decided to go easy on them. Every living being in the primordial chaos is whispering in disbelief, unable to process the scene before their eyes, even within the ranks of the demon race. Even the demon generals think the same, believing that their demon emperor does not need to show mercy and should just annihilate the entire witch clan. All the lands of this chaotic realm shall belong to our demon race. Trillions of demons chant in unison, while only Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi blush slightly. For they truly unleashed their full power, so how could they be holding back out of pity? Although Houtu is beautiful, she is definitely not someone they would be soft on. We really have no way of explaining this. The Heavenly Dao bears witness as Fushi seems to sense something. He carefully observes Houtu, his eyes flashing with sudden realization. Could this be the legendary power of laws? What? Has Houtu actually comprehended the power of laws? That is absolutely impossible. Could it be that Houtu has been in seclusion just to break through to the next level? If so, wouldn't she be surpassing us? On Kunlun Mountain, the Sanqing look embarrassed, their faces flushed with shame. They once believed that apart from Hongjun and a few other immortals, no one was their equal. Now, having been slapped in the face, they realize they cannot even fathom Houtu's true cultivation level. At this moment, I am inside the Bu Palace. Though I am not participating in the battle, I can see the situation outside clearly. Seeing the current cultivation level of my master, I exclaim, "Master is truly incredible." They have no idea what is coming. Houtu has always been suppressing her true cultivation. She is already at the peak of the quasi-saint stage, just one step away from becoming a Hunyuan Daluo Jingxian. She simply didn't want to attract the attention of the Heavenly Dao too early, so she hadn't broken through yet. Fushi finally realizes how overwhelming Houtu's cultivation truly is. Kunpeng, let us strike together. If Houtu does not die, our demon race will never be able to rule. Fushi takes out the Bagua compass. Kunpeng unleashes the northern underworld technique, raining countless attacks down upon Houtu, yet she acts as if nothing is happening, completely unaffected. A cold glint flashes in Houtu's eyes. Our witch clan has no intention. I don't care what you do, but do not provoke our Wu clan. Otherwise, I don't care who you think you are. No matter what abilities you possess, you will die before me. With a single strike of her palm, she unleashed the power of heaven and earth, instantly blowing the 4 great demon clan masters away, leaving the entire chaos in deathly silence. Good heavens, did you hear that? Houtu is truly domineering. What does Houtu mean by these words? Could the Wu clan be planning to withdraw from the struggle for dominion over heaven and earth? How could that be? It seems the demon clan will lose all face this time. Let's see what they have left to rule the chaos. Dijin and Donghuang Taiyi both wore ugly expressions. After this battle, the prestige the demon clan had built up over tens of thousands of years vanished in an instant. Deep down, Dijun was unwilling to accept this. Sons of the demon clan, heed my command. Form the celestial star array. Fushi's expression shifted. Demon Emperor, you cannot. I have not yet fully deduced this formation, and it is still missing a crucial component. If we force its activation now, I fear it will spiral out of control. Daijun let out a cold snort. We cannot afford to worry about such things now. If we are defeated so thoroughly in this battle, the demon clan will lose its prestige forever. How then am I to rule the chaos? Fushi sighed inwardly and could only follow Daijun's orders to deploy the celestial star array. In a split second, the entire sky of the chaos turned grim and overcast. Countless auras of destruction surged into existence. 3,000 stars descended, accompanied by thunder and violent winds carrying infinite destructive power. They surged toward the beings of the chaos, who trembled in terror. My God, who would have thought this was the demon clan's trump card? This formation is truly terrifying. Are they trying to destroy the entire chaos? Inside the Zixiao Palace, Hongjun almost pulled out his own beard in frustration. First, Houtu suddenly became so powerful, standing her ground single-handedly against the 4 great demon masters. And now the demon clan is unleashing an incomplete celestial star array. If this thing loses control and destroys the chaos, who is going to be held responsible? The Wu clan originally created thousands of worlds, providing vast amounts of origin energy to the chaos, which even allowed Hongjun's own strength to increase slightly. But before he could enjoy it for 2 days, they caused such a massive catastrophe. Daijun roared. Do you think the Wu clan has no formations of their own to use? Brothers, it is time to show them the true power of our Wu clan. 12 great formations, activate the God Summoning Formation. As the 12 ancestral witches took their positions, their powers merged, and a chaotic aura began to converge upon the array. A figure emerged, as if stepping out from the ancient mists of time, radiating an aura so primordial and desolate it shook the heavens. When the silhouette finally solidified, the powerful entities throughout the chaos turned pale with fear. It was the great god Pangu. My God, this Wu clan is defying the heavens. They actually managed to summon the great god Pangu. Those present are terrified, wondering if they might shatter the very fabric of chaos itself. Good heavens, please everyone, retract your divine powers before it's too late. High atop Mount Kunlun, the 3 Qing brothers watched with increasingly grim expressions. They were born from the primordial spirit of Pangu and always claimed to be his true successors. Yet now the Wu clan was actually summoning Pangu himself. If that is true, then what does that make them? Tongshan let out a heavy sigh, never expecting the Wu clan to possess such a trump card. We truly underestimated them. How could this be their father god? This is absolutely impossible. The father god should have perished long, long ago. Wanshi Tianzun stood there, his face filled with pure, unadulterated disbelief. Laozi, whose cultivation was the highest among them, quickly sensed the truth behind the illusion. Brothers, do not panic. This is not the real Pangu. It is merely a projection of his image. Everyone looked closer and realized it was indeed just an illusion. But even as a mere phantom, it was the image of the one who split the heavens. And the 3 Qing brothers instantly felt their spirits tremble, as if they had encountered something they feared deep in their souls. The Pangu figure let out a deafening roar. Come to me, Pangu axe, Dongwang Taiyi Laos. Wanshi Tianzun and Laozi suddenly felt the supreme treasures in their hands acting out of their control. Yuanxi and Laozi were still managing, relying on their profound cultivation to suppress the restlessness of the Taiji diagram and the Pangu banner. Donghuang Taiyi, however, was caught in a daze. The cosmic star formation was split into yin and yang, and while the sun and moon were supposed to guard each side, he had to adapt. Taiyi held the Chaos Bell in one hand and the Hetu Luoshu in the other, but the Chaos Bell kept vibrating as if it were about to betray him. Desperate, Taiyi tried to spit out essence blood to force the phantom away, but when the Pangu image saw the axe failing to return, it manifested a shadow of the heaven-splitting axe and struck toward the cosmic formation. The Demon Emperor commanded the demon race to push the formation to its absolute limit, mobilizing billions of stars into a single strike. Just as these 2 overwhelming powers were about to collide, a flash of purple energy suddenly materialized in the space between them. It was Hongjun, the ancestor, holding the heaven and earth cauldron in his left hand, and the heaven and earth banner in his right, instantly neutralizing the entire force of both great formations. The powerful entities hiding in the chaos couldn't help but gasp in shock. These 2 formations represented the peak of power within the chaos, and the full force of either could have caused incalculable destruction to the realm. Yet Hongjun had suppressed them both without breaking a sweat. Daijun was initially stunned, believing the power of the Star Universe formation could suppress the heavens themselves. But looking back now, he realizes he was just overthinking it. With the 3 pure ones on Mount Kunlun and the 2 from Mount Ling witnessing everything, they now truly understand the overwhelming power of a saint. Ancient figures are invincible, and beneath the level of a saint, everyone else is nothing more than an insect. Once they grasped this fundamental truth, they stopped overthinking and began to covet the primordial vapor, each of them hoping to attain sainthood as soon as possible. Before Hongjun could even speak, Houtu spoke up directly. Dao ancestor, our Wu clan has been living in seclusion at the foot of Mount Buzhou to preserve the foundation of the world. We have kept to ourselves. But the monster clan is filled with ambition and has already launched an attack against our people. We were forced to fight back in self-defense. I beg the Dao ancestor to deliver justice for us. Dijun and Dongwang Taiyi let out a cold snort, remaining silent. There was nothing left to say, as they truly had no argument to stand on. Patriarch Hongjun slowly closed his eyes. I am already aware of the situation here. The massive war between the Wu and monster clans has caused significant damage to the world's harmony. Therefore, from this moment on, for the next 1,000,000 years, the Wu and monster clans are forbidden from engaging in battle. Zhurong felt incredibly frustrated deep down. When the Wu clan was being suppressed by the monsters, the Dao ancestor was nowhere to be found. But now that we are about to gain the upper hand, he suddenly appears to intervene. He was just about to argue back when Dijiang stopped him. We respectfully obey the decree of the Dao ancestor. The monster clan side, already struggling in the fight, seized this opportunity to retreat and bide their time. We of the monster clan respectfully obey the decree of the Dao ancestor. Patriarch Hongjun nodded and vanished into the void, leaving the Wu and monster clans to collect the bodies of their fallen kin. Those corpses were rare, high-grade materials for refining weapons, but at this moment no one dared to touch them. After witnessing that heaven-defying display of power earlier, anyone who tried to loot the bodies would effectively be signing their own death warrant. Suddenly, a voice echoed from the heavens. Houtu, come to Zixao Palace immediately. The 12 ancestral witches felt a surge of anxiety, fearing that Hongjun had... Houtu smiled and offered them some comfort. You can rest easy. The Dao ancestor definitely didn't discover anything. If he had, he wouldn't have let us off so easily. After Houtu departed, the ancestral witches hurried over to the Gu Palace to find me. Seeing that the great battle had ended, and feeling there was nothing interesting left, I was just lying on a rock, catching some sleep. Zhurong was the first to lose his temper. You brat, how do you still have the heart to sleep at a time like this? Your master has already been taken away by the Dao ancestor, and all of this is because of your rotten ideas. Are you even listening? Tell us quickly, how are you going to fix this mess? Just then, Zhu Juyin noticed something and was struck with shock. Weren't you still at the Xuanxian realm earlier? How have you suddenly reached the Taiyi Jingxian realm? And it even seems like you're about to break through again. The ancestral witches were all stunned. Within the chaos, there was no shortage of innate gods and immortals. But no one cultivates so quickly that they jump 2 or 3 levels in one go. Under normal circumstances, a clan ancestor would need at least billions of years to achieve that. I let out a yawn and shifted my sleeping position. You lot can rest easy. As for the schemes I set in motion, the Dao ancestor won't detect a thing. Furthermore, as long as the grand trend of the Heavenly Dao remains unchanged, minor shifts in the subtrends don't matter. Do you really think the Dao ancestor would care about such trifles? After speaking, I drifted back to sleep, leaving the ancestral witches feeling deeply frustrated. Yet, since Houtu's transformation was entirely my doing, they couldn't possibly hold a grudge, so they could only leave in a foul mood. Once they had gone, I opened my eyes, feeling genuinely anxious deep down. The Dao ancestor couldn't possibly kill Houtu. After all, she is destined to be the future master of the earthly Dao. The implications are far too vast, but if the Dao ancestor traces things back to me through her, that would be incredibly awkward. I really should just lay low in the Gu Palace for now. Inside the Zixao Palace, Houtu bowed respectfully. Houtu pays respects to the Dao ancestor. The Hongjun ancestor gave a slight nod. I didn't expect that in such a short time, your grasp of the great Dao would progress so rapidly, and your cultivation has already reached the pinnacle of the quasi-saint realm. Could it be that you have encountered some fortuitous opportunity? Houtu took a deep breath, thinking to herself that the moment had arrived. Reporting to the Dao ancestor, within these last few million years, I have always been cultivating at the foot of Mount Buzhou, using the overwhelming pressure left behind by our father to temper my physical body. The reason I reached my current realm is that the primordial essence left by our father was only enough for one person to ascend. My elder brother says that because our father created the chaos of heaven and earth, he attained the merit of creation. So we wondered if we were to open up even more worlds, could we perhaps gain even more merit? If that were the case, it would increase the total essence of the chaotic realm, which could also be considered a noble deed. Our witch tribe does not cultivate the soul, so this is the only way we can repay the world our father left behind. I asked the Dao ancestor to examine this. Upon hearing this, Hongjun's expression turned grim. You have already said everything that needed to be said, so what is left for me to add? Creating new worlds brings immense benefits to the chaos. He gained from it as well, meaning he not only committed no fault but actually earned great merit. What do you expect me to say to that? Under the Heavenly Dao, all living things are but ants. Whatever you do, you must act in accordance with the Heavenly Dao. Very well, there is nothing left for you here. You may leave. Houtu bowed and left the Zixxiao palace, letting out a long sigh of relief. Thank goodness she had prepared beforehand, otherwise she truly wouldn't have known how to handle the situation. Houtu returned, and the other ancestral witches finally felt at ease. When she told them she had only utilized the laws of Earth and had not yet touched upon the laws of reincarnation, the other ancestral witches were astonished, realizing that relying solely on the laws of Earth was already this powerful. Just how strong would it be if she tapped into the laws of reincarnation? Those within the chaos still mistakenly believe that our tribe suffered a great loss by withdrawing. They have no idea that we are actually the smartest of them all. The battlefield has been completely cleared. The witch tribe returned to their territories to continue their cultivation. 1,000,000 years is neither long nor short, but it is enough time for the monster tribe to recover their strength. By the time that arrives, another brutal war is inevitable. One day, Jujuyin suddenly arrived at the Pangu palace. Lately, his cultivation has been unsettled, and he constantly feels that something major is about to happen. After his calculations failed to yield answers, he gritted his teeth and burned his essence blood to manipulate the power of the laws. Finally, in a glimpse of the long river of time, he saw a hazy vision. Mount Buzhou collapsing, Gonggong perishing in battle, Zhurong perishing in battle, and Xuanming perishing in battle, including himself. When he came looking for me, I was sound asleep. Jujuyin felt deeply unbalanced. The 12 ancestor witches started from nothing, and only through countless life and death battles did they reach their current power. This kid has never even been seen training, yet breaking through for him is as easy as drinking water. I opened my eyes to find Jujuyin staring at me with a strange look, and I instinctively felt that something wasn't right. Senior uncle, why are you looking at me like that? Jujuyin approached with a beaming smile. Junior brother, no need to be so polite. Today your senior uncle has come specifically to visit you. How is it? Are you getting used to living in this palace? Seeing Jujuyin smiling like a doting mother, I got goosebumps all over my body. Aside from Houtu, all the clan members are battle-crazed lunatics. This current expression really ruins the whole atmosphere. Senior uncle, if there is something you want to say, just be direct. We are family, no need to beat around the bush. Jujuyin looked a bit embarrassed. Scratching his head, he said, actually, it's nothing major. I've just been researching the nature of time recently. In the long river of time, I saw a fragment of memory, and he told me everything he witnessed. I frowned, surprised that Jujuyin possessed such a rare talent. You are quite right. This is a scene that could potentially unfold in the future. Jujuyin was instantly stunned. Could potentially appear. You mean there's a chance it might not happen at all? I nodded. Time is the most mysterious and unpredictable force in existence. If it followed the original trajectory, then yes, it would happen, but things are different now. Destiny has shifted. So naturally, that moment may no longer come to pass. Jujuyin had an epiphany, realizing that the path of time can rewrite the past and bring things that don't exist into reality. I nodded in agreement. Just then, an idea flashed through my mind. Currently, Houtu is the only one connected to this. She is already at the peak of the quasi-saint realm and cannot improve further in the short term, so since the opportunity is here, why not seize it? I smiled broadly. Uncle, what do you think of my master's true strength? Jujuyin felt a sudden sinking sensation in his heart, as if he were being toyed with. Yet he held his tongue and replied, Master, your power is indeed formidable, and I truly have you to thank for it. Without you, how could such a transformation have ever been possible? I chuckled and said, I see that you possess a unique skeletal structure, making you the perfect candidate to master the great Dao of time. How about I craft a supreme chrono cultivation plan just for you? What do you say? Jujuyin was stunned. What exactly is a supreme chrono cultivation plan? Among the 3,000 great Daos, time remains the most profound mystery. Time existed before heaven and earth. It is the origin of all things, while space, fate, and cause and effect all stem from its flow. Once you master the essence of time, you can navigate the past, the future, and the present within the river of eternity. By then, as long as time itself does not cease, how could you ever be destroyed? The past and the present? Well, are you interested in exploring this path? Jujuyin nodded frantically. After all, it was thanks to my guidance that Houtu attained her current level of strength. Naturally, he felt an overwhelming surge of interest. Qingque, if I cultivate according to your method, could I one day surpass the sages? I scoffed with a look of utter disdain. Who exactly are you looking down on? If my creation could only reach the level of a sage, how could it be called supreme? Do you think so little of me? You can insult me, but you must not insult my supreme plan. Jujuyin looked troubled, for to him, the sages were the absolute peak of the primordial world. In the entire primordial realm, only Hongjun had truly ascended to sagehood. The war between the sorcerer and demon clans, fought with the full force of both races, had been effortlessly halted by him. Yet in my eyes he seemed remarkably weak. I stepped forward. With my left hand behind my back, I patted Zhu Yin's shoulder with my right. Rest easy, kid. The supreme plan I have devised is a peerless existence, far surpassing the very peak of the myriad worlds. Is not something a mere mortal could ever hope to compare with. Zhu Yin was left completely stunned by the sheer force of my presence. He nodded instinctively, but realized something was wrong a split second later. He is the senior here, so why does he feel like he is the one being lectured? Yet my words carry such profound truth that he cannot help but wonder, how does one truly achieve supreme greatness? Zhu Yin blinked, looking as eager for answers as a young schoolboy. Among the 3,000 great Daos, time reigns supreme as king. Since the dawn of the primordial universe, time has existed as the fundamental constant. Regardless of how many eons pass, the heavens and the earth will eventually shift. The sun, the moon, and the stars will all inevitably change. Only time remains eternal. It is the bedrock of the universe and the origin of all existence. Time flows from everything, yet stands above everything, independent of the three realms and untouched by the lives within them. Every living thing is bound by the constraints of the past, the present, and the future. Just imagine, if someone could erase an enemy's past within the long river of time, would they not also erase their present and their future? By using one's future self to travel upstream, burying the past, merging timelines, and ultimately seizing total control over time itself. When cultivation reaches its absolute limit, the past is me, the present is me, and the future is also me. Beyond the grasp of the time stream, beyond the reach of destiny, leaping outside the three realms and standing above the five elements. That is the true essence of what it means to be immortal and indestructible. Zhu Yin listened, feeling utterly dazed and overwhelmed, as if a gateway to an entirely new world had been thrown open before his eyes. He had never once imagined that the laws of time could be utilized in such a magnificent way. He had always treated his temporal powers as a mere tool for deduction, completely wasting a divine gift. If one could truly master the flow of time, would that not make them the invincible master of the primordial chaos? He was so incredibly exhilarated that his entire body began to tremble. Qinghui, my dear junior brother, your senior uncle is off to test this theory immediately, so you just stay here and continue your cultivation. With those words, he shot out of the main hall at blinding speed. The speed of his departure was so immense that it left onlookers wide-eyed in shock. I watched as he vanished into the distance. A wave of irritation washed over me. The man had run off just as things were getting interesting. As expected of the people of the Fu clan, they are all far too impatient. Within the chaotic expanse, there lie countless stars, existing ever since the very first moment the primordial world was born. The heavens are divided into 9 regions, with the sun and the moon reigning supreme as the stars among stars. Within the sun lies the Fusang tree, which birthed the great monarchs Dijin and Donghuang Taiyi. On the moon, there stands the eternal laurel tree. During the primordial era, it gained sentience and transformed into Wangshu, the first goddess of the moon. Wangshu preferred peace over conflict, but the wars of the primordial age left her with deep, irreparable wounds, causing her cultivation to plummet and forcing her to hide within the moon. Recently, the brutal war between the Wu and the Yao clans has shaken the very foundations of heaven and earth, threatening to dissipate even her last spark of origin energy. If she continues to cultivate here now, she will likely not be able to hold on for much longer. It has been a long time since she stepped foot on the great primordial land. Perhaps a journey there will reveal a chance for survival. Wangshu cast a secret technique, and 2 beautiful maidens stepped forward. Changsha pays her respects to Lady Wangshu. These 2 were jade rabbits from the moon that Wangshu had enlightened into immortals, and they had served by her side ever since. I have decided to make a journey to the great primordial land. While I am away, both of you must guard the Taiyin palace and cultivate diligently. Do not cause any trouble. Upon hearing that they were not included, the 2 girls were immediately crestfallen. After Wangshu departed, Huami grumbled with deep dissatisfaction. Master is truly something else. She leaves us behind yet again. Ever since we took human form, we have never once left the moon. Though Changsha also longed for the outside world, her nature remained calm and quiet. Master is leaving the moon? If we also leave the laurel tree, what are we to do? Master's words are perfectly reasonable. Besides, sister, I have heard that a great calamity is currently ravaging the great primordial land. The land is currently incredibly dangerous. The recent tremors in the void were caused by powerful beings clashing on the surface below. Chihi's eyes shimmered with starlight, unfazed by the warnings. It seems there are still many formidable experts roaming the primordial land. I wonder when I will finally be able to go and see it for myself. Following the war between the Wu and the Yao, the Wu clan gained the upper hand thanks to Houtu. To balance the two clans, the ancestor Hongjin took the initiative to guide the Yao clan to discover the 33 heavens. When Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi found this place, they were moved to tears of joy. Surely our Yao clan is favored by heaven. The 33 heavens are shrouded in immortal mist, filled with jade pillars and golden temples, with spiritual energy far surpassing the great primordial land itself. With 36 palaces and 72 halls arranged in perfect order, it is a true celestial paradise. Dijun, feeling grandiose, loudly proclaimed, "The Heavenly Dao is above me. I am the incarnation of the sun, the innate ruler of the Yao clan. Today at Mount Buzhou, I establish a power in the 33 heavens known as the Heavenly Court. I name myself the Heavenly Emperor, Taiyi as the Eastern Emperor, Nuwa as the Empress, Fuxi as the Shi Emperor, and Kunpeng as the Demon Master." He then bestowed titles upon the great demon commanders to govern the heavenly realm, using the supreme primordial treasure, the river chart and Luoshu, to stabilize the fortune of the Yao clan's heavenly court. The sound boomed across the entire great primordial land, and suddenly, golden light erupted from the sky. Heavenly Dao merit manifested, with part of it entering Dijun's body, and the rest distributed among the leaders of the Yao clan, boosting Dijun's cultivation to the limit. Observing the power surging from his body, he felt a renewed sense of immense strength. Fuxi stepped forward to congratulate the celestial emperor, declaring that from this day forward, the power of their demon clan would undoubtedly reach new heights. Dijun laughed heartily, suggesting they share the joy and work together with a single mind, for the demon clan was destined to rule the primordial world. At that moment, Fuxi suddenly had a premonition as the secrets of the heavens became clear. Once the phenomenon ended, he slowly opened his eyes and laughed out loud. Donghuang Taiyi looked on with a confused expression, wondering why Fuxi was laughing. With a face full of pleasant surprise, Fuxi explained that the heavenly secrets had become clear, that within all things there is both opposition and harmony. One yin and one yang form the Tao. As they say, solitary yin cannot produce life. Without yang, nothing can grow. So since the demon clan has a celestial emperor, it must also have a celestial empress. Furthermore, the chosen one is already destined among the stars, for where there is a sun, there must also be a moon. I have heard that there is a divine maiden residing on the moon. So why don't we petition His Majesty to seek her hand in marriage? In doing so, the power of the demon clan will certainly ascend to a new level. The demon Saint Baize nodded in agreement, noting that this was indeed true. Moreover, there is a natural bond between the sun and the moon. Who knows, perhaps by then, a few little golden crow princes will be born, ensuring the prosperity of our demon clan forever. In the 500 years that followed, a group of demon gods bowed together in unison. "We humbly request your majesty to visit the moon to propose to the divine maiden and strengthen our demon clan," they urged, as Dijun laughed out loud. The divine maiden on the moon is peerlessly beautiful and possesses immense strength. With his status as the demon emperor, winning her over should be an easy task. Since you, my loyal subjects, are in agreement, this must be the will of fate. In that case, it would be difficult for me to refuse. Let Demon Saint Baize take charge of this mission. Go to my treasury and select the finest treasures. This task must be handled perfectly. Baize accepted the order and departed. Dijun patted Donghuang Taiyi on the shoulder and smiled, saying, "Younger brother, you and I are both of the three-legged golden crow race, so there is no need for formalities between us. So, to strengthen our race, keep working hard. When the time comes, I will find a sister-in-law for you as well." Donghuang Taiyi felt that this statement was a bit strange, but since it was spoken by his elder brother, he cupped his hands and replied, "Thank you, brother, for finding me a sister-in-law." Wangshu arrived in the primordial world, witnessing a landscape of desolation as the gods and demons waged war, leaving the world in a state of utter misery. She sighed, remembering how the war among the stars had been exactly the same. She wondered just how long this world would be able to endure. Raising my head, I gazed at the Buzhou mountain as it stood tall, piercing straight into the heavens. I couldn't help but think that this was the very essence of my new life, the fundamental foundation of the primordial world. Perhaps my destiny lies here, for after spending far too much time sleeping in my palace and cultivating for eons without making any real progress, I remembered that I held the command of the 6 paths in my grasp. Along the way, every god I encountered treated me with the utmost respect, so what exactly did I have to fear? Stepping out of the palace, I headed toward Buzhou Mountain to seek out treasures. The mountain was filled with the overwhelming pressure left behind by Pangu, but it did nothing to hinder my search. Yet, after wandering for 10,000 years without finding so much as a single strand of hair, I felt my spirit beginning to wane. Wasn't it said that the primordial world was filled with magical artifacts everywhere you looked? Just as I was beginning to question my life choices, a commotion erupted ahead of me. I crept toward a nearby hill and was shocked to see 2 demon immortals at the Taiyi Golden Immortal level preparing to assault a young woman. The woman had red lips, pearly white teeth, and a graceful figure. Her elegant movements were truly captivating, and she didn't seem to be from the god race, suggesting she had simply run into an unexpected disaster. These two demons were only Taiyi Golden Immortals, yet they dared to act so brazenly on Buzhou Mountain. They clearly had some nerve, so I decided to leap into the fray immediately. "You monsters, let that girl go." The two demons jumped in surprise. What kind of thing just jumped out at us? I didn't even bother to give them the time of day. Instead, I turned my head and offered the woman a smile. "Fairy, are you all right?" This person was none other than Wang Shu. She had originally intended to fight back, but seeing me jump out, she figured that since her wounds hadn't fully healed, she should try to avoid a direct confrontation if possible. The great demon couldn't discern my cultivation level, so he arrogantly assumed I was weaker than him. "You little thief, how dare you act so cocky in front of us? Are you tired of living? Today I will definitely finish you off. I refuse to be outdone. This isn't your celestial court. This is Buzhou Mountain, and today you two won't even have a place to be buried." The two sides immediately clashed. It had been a long time since I last crossed hands with anyone. At first it felt a bit unfamiliar, but slowly the strategy began to fall into place. After finishing off one demon, the remaining one sensed that the situation had turned dire and quickly unleashed several streaks of golden light to signal for reinforcements. I silently cursed, realizing things were going south, and just as I prepared to pursue, the sky darkened with dense clouds, and thunder began to crackle and flash. The strength behind this power was at least at the Taiyi Golden Immortal level, and I was absolutely no match for an opponent like that. "The Demon Clan reinforcements are coming. We must leave at once, or we won't be able to escape later." Wang Shu was breaking out in a cold sweat. Just a moment ago, I had been brimming with such confidence, so why did the energy suddenly vanish as a thunderous voice echoed from the heavens? "Who are you? How dare you injure the members of the Demon Clan? Who dares to bully our Demon Clan?" Countless demons surrounded us. From within the dark clouds, three figures emerged. The leader, sporting sharp fangs and wielding a wolf-tooth club, was none other than the great demon commander, Dong Kong. He stared at the demon corpses on the ground, his face twisted in pure rage. "You two dare to kill a general of the Demon Clan? Today, you will certainly be torn to shreds." A demon general lunged forward, and as we clashed, a massive wave of power sent me flying backward. This was definitely a great demon at the Taiyi Golden Immortal level. I realized that even at the peak of the Golden Immortal realm, I was no match for him. I gritted my teeth, knowing I had to risk it all, even if it meant revealing my secret. "Six paths manifest. Let the heavens and earth transform into my true body." As the Asura path activated, the world instantly turned gloomy, and countless dark mists rose up as if the apocalypse had arrived. Wang Shu was shocked to her core, for as a quasi-saint, she could easily perceive the shift in the heavens and earth, and she could sense the faint aura of the laws of the universe radiating from me. This was a supreme great Tao-level divine ability. She waved her hand, casting a veil to conceal the celestial mechanism, knowing that if this power were exposed, it would surely attract the attention of the world's greatest factions. Houtu, who had been cultivating in the Houtu palace, suddenly felt a ripple of disturbance. She performed a quick calculation and discovered that I was facing a life-or-death tribulation, her expression shifting drastically as countless black hands reached up from the ground. Blue-faced, fanged demons crawled up from the earth. The demon general swung his great blade, but he could not harm these intangible spirits. As the evil spirits crawled over the demon general, he was suddenly struck by agonizing pain. His eyelids grew heavy, his senses faded, and as the smoke cleared, all that remained on the ground was a pile of white bones. Even I was shocked. I didn't expect my first time using this divine ability to be so terrifying. Dong Kong was both astonished and greedy. "Kid, hand over the technique you just used, and I might consider sparing your life." "How about it? You're dreaming. Why on earth would I ever hand over such a powerful technique to you? You honestly think you'd let me live even if I did?" Dong Kong let out a cold, sharp laugh. "It doesn't matter either way. As long as I capture you and tear out your soul, I'll get what I want. A mere Taiyi Golden Immortal dares to challenge me. Finish him off." Another Taiyi Golden Immortal nodded and stepped forward, his eyes burning with greed, convinced that the previous defeat was just a lucky fluke. I crossed my arms as the Six Paths reincarnation disc manifested behind me once again. The cycle of heaven and earth transformed, manifesting the path of the beast. A flash of green light streaked through the air and submerged directly into the demon general's sea of consciousness. He immediately collapsed to his knees, his true form revealed. A massive red snake appeared, red smoke billowing from its body. Its physical form began to fade into nothingness. My Six Paths reincarnation technique had just claimed another soul. Dong Kong lost his composure. What a pair of useless trash. It seems I'll have to handle this myself. Wang Shu's eyes sparkled, for even with her high level of cultivation, she couldn't fathom how those two had been wiped out so easily. This divine ability is truly bizarre. I thought about the two souls I had just claimed, and my confidence surged. Heaven and Earth, the sixth path cycle. By my command, reincarnation takes form. Karma strikes back. Return to your positions. As the path of Ashura activated, 2 rays of light descended from the reincarnation disk, taking the shape of the 2 demon generals. Dang Kong's expression shifted drastically. These were his very own subordinates. Yet they possessed no consciousness of their own, and with a flash of golden light, their strength soared, surging continuously until they reached the late stage of the Great Luo Golden Immortal realm. With just a single thought from me, they charged straight toward Dang Kong. Dang Kong struggled to defend himself, stunned to discover that the 2 generals were now his equal in strength. He couldn't make sense of it. After an exchange of blows, Dang Kong tried to flee, but I commanded the 2 projections to rush forward and detonate themselves. Following the deafening explosion, shockwaves of raw power rippled through the surroundings. My expression changed instantly. I never expected the self-destruction of a Great Luo Golden Immortal to be this powerful. I had been too reckless. Just as I thought it was all over, Wang Shu raised a single finger, and starlight rippled outward in waves, easily smoothing away the devastating force of the blast. I stared at her in complete disbelief. If she has this kind of ability, what else is there for me to show off? Rescue who? Just as Wang Shu was about to speak, the system's voice suddenly echoed in my head. Congratulations to the host for teaching Wang Shu about the great Tao of time, triggering a 10,000-fold return. Congratulations to the host for receiving the divine ability. Great time progression. A surge of pure power flooded into my mind, and I cursed silently to myself. Wang Shu is truly quite troublesome. She couldn't break through any earlier, and she couldn't break through any later. She just had to do it right at this moment. The power surging within my body didn't allow for second thoughts, so I immediately sat cross-legged to refine this energy. Wang Shu saw this and felt a wave of shock in her heart. She had seen others break through in the heat of battle before, but seeing a Taiyi Golden Immortal breakthrough to the Daluo stage was incredibly rare. Just as she was preparing to set up a formation to conceal the heavenly secrets, a loud shout came from afar. Who are you? What are you trying to do to my disciple? Void fluctuations? Houtu stepped out in a long green dress, her expression filled with hostility. I am Houtu of the Divine Clan. May I ask who you are, Taoist? This is my disciple. What exactly are you planning to do with him? Houtu's expression remained fierce, but she was deeply astonished inside. Who on earth is this female immortal? Her cultivation is so high, yet I have never heard of her before. Wang Shu smiled and nodded. This palace is the Lunar Star Lord Wang Shu. I was merely trying to conceal the heavenly secrets just now. Houtu looked at my current state and realized I was ascending to the Daluo Golden Immortal realm. She was shocked. It felt like only a few 100,000 years ago, I was still a profound immortal. How could I possibly break through so quickly? The 2 of them joined forces to set up a grand formation to hide the heavenly secrets. The power radiating from my body continued to pulse outward. Above my head, 3 flowers bloomed, with a miniature figure sitting atop each one. The 6th grade flowers emitted a fragrance that spread across the heavens and earth, and Houtu felt quite pleased. A 6th grade bloom is already considered the mark of a decent genius. However, the surge of power had not yet come to an end. The 3 flowers shifted and changed, with 9 petals now blooming atop each one. Even Wang Shu was left stunned, for besides a few innate divine beings, this was unheard of. No one has ever managed to reach this level. As the blue petals fell, the sky erupted in a shower of flowers and the earth bloomed with golden lotuses, a sight the world has never witnessed. Both of them were left completely stunned. Ever since the dawn of time, Wang Shu looked on, full of confusion, and Houtu did not know how to explain this. Could she really say that he had always been like this? A resonance echoed from within my body. My soul felt as if it were ascending, and in a fleeting moment, I stepped into the realm of the Great Luo Golden Immortal. Yet the spiritual energy was far from exhausted. My cultivation continued to soar, through the early, middle, and late stages, reaching the peak of the Great Luo Golden Immortal before the miracle finally faded. I opened my eyes to see Wang Shu and Houtu staring at me in shock, so I scratched my head and asked, "What is the matter with you 2? Are you both stunned?" Houtu nodded reflexively, unable to fathom how one could leap directly to the peak of the Great Luo Golden Immortal after a grade 12 blooming. Who has ever seen such a thing? But she was the master, and she could not lose face in front of her disciple. Didn't I tell you to stay in the Zhengyu Palace? Why did you wander out so recklessly? The great tribulation of the world has not yet passed. Why don't you hurry back and continue your cultivation with your current strength? As she finished speaking, she suddenly realized that I had already reached the peak of the Great Luo Golden Immortal. In any case, follow me back at once. What was Houtu thinking just then? Lady Wang Shu, we hit it off the moment we met. Why not come to my Houtu palace to sit for a while? Wang Shu was extremely curious about me, and had been hoping for an invitation, so she replied, "If you insist, Sister Houtu, I certainly won't intrude." Upon returning to the Houtu palace, Houtu and Wangshu seemed to have so much to talk about that they left me completely aside. Houtu suddenly exclaimed, "Sister Wangshu, why are you so heavily wounded?" My master is now at the peak of the quasi-saint realm, with the laws of earth and the rules of reincarnation already 70% fused. She naturally saw through the Dao injuries afflicting Wangshu, who let out a long sigh. Back in the primordial era, when the universe was in turmoil, the lunar palace and I, as the lunar star lord, were dragged into the chaos. I was grievously wounded by Qingtian, one of the three heavens. This wound has remained unhealed to this day. Houtu brought out the holy three-light divine water to heal her, but it had no effect whatsoever. The three-light divine water is a sacred medicine of the prehistoric era, condensing the essence of sun, the light of the stars, where every single drop is precious beyond measure. Yet there seemed to be no way out. Wangshu appeared to have accepted her fate. This is the scar of the Dao. My foundation was shattered by the primordial power of the azure heavens, and the lingering law force cannot be purged. But since the ancient stars fell back then, it is a miracle in itself that I have managed to survive. The atmosphere turned heavy with the weight of the Dao. I spoke up to break the silence. Is it really just a scar of the Dao? What is there to be so worked up about? Houtu looked at me with a stern expression. Hold your tongue and stop speaking nonsense. This involves the power of the great laws. How could it be as simple as you think? Wangshu seemed to have found a glimmer of hope. Could it be that you truly have a way to resolve this scar of the Dao? I shook my head, and Wangshu's eyes dimmed instantly. What I mean is, the scar of the Dao is actually very easy to resolve. It's just that the solution doesn't lie with me, but with you. Wangshu was stunned for a moment. Please enlighten me, Taoist. Wouldn't it be worth owing you a favor? I nodded. I can see that your scar of the Dao contains the power of the stars, right? It is clear that the one who wounded you must have been a practitioner of the star Dao. Since you know the origin of this wound is the star Dao, why not simply cultivate the star Dao yourself? Turn that scar of the Dao into your own primordial essence, and your cultivation base could even ascend to a higher level. Wangshu looked at me, filled with doubt. Taoist, my Taiyin lineage has always cultivated only the great Dao of Taiyin. How could I possibly cultivate other great Daos? I shook my head. I never said you should start over. The Dao of Taiyin is inherently the foundation of the star Dao. The Taiyin star is one of the two sovereign stars of the primordial era. By merging the Taiyin and the Taiyang into one, you can deduce the myriad stars and gather the power of the cosmos within your own body. Naturally, you will then be able to comprehend the star Dao. By that time, with the power of the Lords of Star Dao, you could hold dominion over the entire primordial universe. Even those two three-legged golden crows of the Taiyang star would be powerless against you. Why not look into the plan for the supreme star body? Wangshu frowned slightly. I do not know. What exactly is the plan for the supreme star body? Beside me, Houtu's face turned grim. She was all too familiar with this kind of scheme. My current cultivation level relies entirely on the supreme mythical Houtu plan, and now, not long after, this supreme star body plan emerges. I truly wonder what is going on inside this guy's head in this primordial era. The 3 luminaries and 9 radiant stars are divided into 365 major stars, along with 129,600 minor stars, all operating according to their own rules. The demon clan possesses a formation known as the Heavenly Stellar Array. This formation borrows power from the stars to manifest within one's own body. However, to push this formation to its ultimate limit, one must borrow the power of the stars themselves. But in the sky right now, are there no star gods to suppress them? The Heavenly Court was established specifically to maintain order over this universe. Yet these demons are primordial beings, naturally repelled by the universe, so even if they can suppress it, it is only by force. Fellow Taoist, as the Taiyin Star Lord, you share a natural affinity with the universe. Why not divide yourself into millions of incarnations to stabilize the cosmos? By channeling all the power of the universe into your own body, you could reach that level. Even without borrowing the Heavenly Stellar Array, you would be able to command every star in the heavens. Wangshu listened, growing more stunned with every passing word. As an innate being born from the Taiyin star, she naturally understood what I meant, but such a concept had never crossed her mind. She gently closed her eyes, connecting her consciousness to the Taiyin star, and sent her divine sense surging into a nearby star. That star sensed Wangshu's power and rejoiced, as if a child had finally met its mother. In an instant, the fusion was complete. Within Wangshu's spirit altar, it felt as if millions of universes had manifested. Beside the Taiyin star, another star flickered to life. A massive surge of stellar energy flooded into her body. Her Dao injuries eased slightly. After billions of years, there was finally some progress. Wangshu turned to look at me, her expression soft and gentle. Thank you for your guidance, fellow Taoist. I can feel it now. If I can merge millions of stars from the sky into my spirit altar, I could command the power of the entire primordial universe. By then, even if the Heavenly Dao wanted to touch me, it would have to consider whether it had the strength to do so. Wangshu's face was filled with pride, like a queen looking down upon the world. I sighed, Lady Wangshu, if my Supreme Star body plan. If one simply reaches the level of the Heavenly Dao, wouldn't that be a bit too useless? Gaining the power of millions of stars. That is merely the first step. Wangshu was stunned. In the ancient times, sages were revered, and the inheritance memories of the innate gods held them in the same high regard. But in my eyes, these sages seem incredibly weak, and she found herself a bit confused. Houtu also looked somber, though she was doing slightly better than Wangshu, having experienced such things before. Perhaps the plan you have laid out does not end there, fellow Taoist? I nodded. That goes without saying, but first, one must grasp the entirety of the ancient heavens. Using stellar power to gain control of the heavens, and from there, perceive the laws of the stars. When will the complete laws of the stars be realized? By relying on a complete force of laws to achieve the realm of Hunyuan Daluo Jingxian. Then, within one's own body, evolve a void, or ensure that every speck of dust in the body contains a universe. Why? Such power is undoubtedly terrifying. When that time comes, you will be able to carry out the next part of my plan. Wangshu felt that her brain, which had lived for billions of years, was simply not enough. This was already terrifying enough, and there was still a follow-up. Fellow Taoist Houtu, I wonder if I might borrow your cultivation ground to train? Hote smiled and nodded. Sister, rest assured, here with me no one will be able to disturb you. Wangshu expressed her thanks, directly connected with the power of the stars, and began her cultivation. Houtu turned to look at me. Li Qingguo, I have recently felt that this power of reincarnation is becoming a bit difficult to suppress. I wonder when I will finally be able to rely on this power to create the 6 paths of reincarnation. I shook my head. It is not yet the right time, as the human path and Asura path within the heaven and earth's 6 paths have yet to appear. Perhaps we can take this opportunity to scheme for a while. Below Mount Buzhou, Nuwa was cultivating in her training grounds. Ever since Hongjun gave her the primordial violet qi, her cultivation had reached the peak of the quasi-saint stage, yet she always felt something was missing. The heavenly court had just been established, and Fuxi was so busy with his duties that he had not returned for a long time. Nuwa thought that cultivating in her grounds was no longer very effective, so she decided it would be better to head out and search for new opportunities. After wandering for tens of thousands of years, Nuwa felt a constant pressure in her heart. The ancient world was filled with strife everywhere, consisting of nothing but killing for treasure, or fighting over the legitimacy of one's Dao. After wandering for some time, she arrived at the Houtu tribe, for she held no among the 12 ancestral witches. Houtu is known for her calm and gentle nature, which makes her very endearing to the other ancient goddesses. Especially during the war between the witches and the demons, Houtu's strength increased to a terrifying degree. With her cultivation base already at the quasi-saint level, it was impossible to see through her true depth. Beyond the quasi-saint realm lies the saint, and Houtu is clearly hiding a massive secret. Nuwa sent a message to Houtu's palace, announcing her visit to Houtu at the foot of Mount Buzhou. Houtu frowned. She and Nuwa had no prior connection, as one belonged to the witch tribe and the other to the demon tribe, so she wondered what could be the reason for this visit. Where is Houyi from the tribe? We pay our respects to the ancestral witch. Since fellow Taoist Nuwa is here to visit, the two of you should go and welcome her on my behalf. Nuwa had been waiting outside for a long time, and was just about to leave when space rippled, and 2 burly men emerged. We welcome you, Senior Nuwa. I am Houyi from the Houtu tribe, and I am here to escort you, my lady. Nuwa greeted them with polite and thoughtful grace. Following the 2 men into Houtu's palace, she stepped into the world Houtu had manifested, formed entirely by the laws of Earth. Nuwa could feel the dense aura of the great Tao of Earth, mixed with a mysterious energy that left her deeply shaken. Nuwa pays her respects to fellow Taoist Houtu. Houtu smiled and nodded. Fellow Taoist, there is no need for such formalities. I wonder, what brings you here to visit me? I will be honest with you, fellow Taoist. I was cultivating on Mount Buzhou when I felt a sudden intuition and decided to travel through the ancient lands. And passing by your tribe, I specifically came to get to know you. Houtu took a deep look at Nuwa, her expression remaining perfectly unreadable. Although it seemed sincere, their differing backgrounds made it difficult to speak freely or build a genuine connection. You are too kind, fellow Taoist, but I have nothing special here. Furthermore, our witch tribe does not cultivate the primordial spirit, so I cannot provide any assistance to someone of your standing. You may end up disappointed. Nuwa felt a sense of awkwardness, realizing her uninvited visit was perhaps too abrupt, and prepared to take her leave. Since Houtu has been so blunt, then I shall— Before she could finish her sentence, a voice rang out from behind. Master, we have a guest. Nuwa turned around to see a young man with an extraordinary demeanor. His aura was truly unique, standing in stark contrast to everyone else in the witch tribe. What is even rarer is that this person cultivates their primordial spirit with a strength that has reached the peak of the Taiyi Golden Immortal realm, allowing them to enter and exit the Houtu palace freely. Their identity is definitely extraordinary, but why have I never heard of them in the primordial era? Fellow Taoist Houtu does not know this person, thinking that with her status, Nuwa would not make things difficult for me. Fellow Taoist Nuwa, this is my good-for-nothing disciple. Li Qingqi, this is fellow Taoist Nuwa, hurry up and greet her. I looked up at the figure in the apricot yellow immortal robe, whose delicate face shone like moonlight and whose stature was graceful. This is the first time I have seen the future Holy Mother of the human race since arriving in the primordial era. Having been human in my past life, I felt an instinctive sense of closeness, so it turns out this is fellow Taoist Nuwa. I, Li Qingqi, have been disrespectful. Please forgive me. Nuwa nodded slightly, not paying much mind to it. It is reasonable for a disciple of Houtu to have such cultivation. She pulled a small jade bottle from her sleeve. This is the 3 Lights Holy Water. Take this as a gift for our first meeting. Houtu was shocked internally. She had some 3 Lights Holy Water herself, but compared to what Nuwa held, it was incomparable. As expected of the future saint, designated by the primordial Dao ancestor. Truly, a big spender. I looked at the 3 Lights Holy Water being offered and frowned. Fellow Taoist Nuwa, are you certain you want to give this 3 Lights Holy Water to me? This is directly related to your path to sainthood. As soon as these words were spoken, Nuwa and Houtu were both stunned. Obtaining the Grand Mist Violet Chi bestowed by the ancestor is the foundation for sainthood, yet Nuwa has pondered for so long without finding her path. Now that I claim the 3 Lights Holy Water is deeply connected to her becoming a saint, Houtu became quite anxious and restless, telling me not to speak nonsense in front of fellow Taoist Nuwa. Nuwa closed her eyes slightly, contemplating the 3 Lights Holy Water for a moment, and suddenly her eyes lit up. Indeed, there was a connection, and the way she looked at me changed instantly. Does fellow Taoist know of my destiny to become a saint? At this moment, she no longer dared to treat me as a mere junior. I nodded nonchalantly, acting as if becoming a saint was no big deal. I happened to know about that. The corner of Nuwa's mouth twitched, and a flash of irritation flickered in her eyes. Everyone beneath the level of a saint is nothing more than an insect. This has been the consensus of all living beings throughout the primordial age, but in my eyes, the status of a saint is barely worth mentioning, which left her feeling quite offended. Sensing her growing rage, I quickly stepped in to explain. Fellow Taoist Nuwa, please do not be angry. What I just said was not aimed at you, but at all saints and those aspiring to reach that rank, including Hongjin Laozu himself. Nuwa widened her eyes in disbelief. She thought it was one thing to be arrogant as a mere Daluo Jingxian, but to look down on others was quite another. Hongjin Laozu is a true saint, a representative of the Heavenly Dao, and he is even her own teacher. This was an insult she found impossible to swallow. Houtu also became anxious. Fellow Taoist Nuwa, my disciple is truly mischievous, and I will certainly educate him properly in the future. Please, do not take his words to heart. Nuwa was completely unmoved by this approach. Fellow Taoist, if you claim that saints and even the Dao ancestor are nothing in your eyes, can you provide a reason why? Otherwise, I am afraid this meeting will not end on good terms. I simply smiled. Fellow Taoist Nuwa, do not be hasty. Your predestined path to sainthood is actually related to the Sangwang Shen Shui. While all the races of the world currently possess their own unique forms, once they take human shape to facilitate cultivation, they all shift into a form best suited for the practice. We call this the innate Dao body, but currently, aside from a few innate gods and goddesses, and the descendants of the ancient tribes, almost everyone else is just a plant or creature of the earth. They refine their essence into spirits and become the demon race. Your destiny is to create a new race. This race is born with the innate Dao body, and they are called the human race. As soon as those words were spoken, the aura of the Dao began to swirl around Nuwa. Everything she had failed to comprehend suddenly fell into place. The power of the Hongmeng purple qi began to surge forth violently. She instantly grasped the secret to her sainthood, feeling both overwhelmed with excitement and utterly shocked. Who exactly is this person? May I ask, fellow Taoist, what exactly is this human race? Nuwa dared not delay. The so-called human race is born with an innate Dao body, using the primordial black stone and the 3 Light divine water as the foundation of their flesh and blood, containing the creation of heaven and earth, the logic that gives birth to all things. Surely destined to possess immense merit, with a future beyond measure. But I advise you, friend, it is best not to become a sage yet. Otherwise, you will surely regret it. Nuwa felt the path to sainthood becoming clearer and clearer, but that final sentence felt like a bucket of ice water poured over her head. If this is already my path to sainthood, then why would you advise this humble one not to become a sage? I let out a sigh, my eyes revealing a sense of profound melancholy. Between heaven and earth, there are 3 paths to sainthood. The first is to prove the Dao through sheer power, which is to prove the Dao by comprehending the laws of the universe. Once one comprehends a complete law and uses it as a foundation to create a world, one can attain the realm of the Hunyuan Daluo Jingxian. This method of attaining the Dao has vast potential and the greatest strength, offering massive benefits for cultivation after achievement. The second method is to prove the Dao through the three corpses, requiring the manifestation of a good, evil, and true self, ultimately merging them to prove the Dao. This method looks decent enough, but in reality it significantly diminishes future potential. And even later, attempting to break through to the Hunyuan Daluo Jingxian to reach the supreme state becomes an uphill battle. It may seem like a clever trick, but in reality it exhausts one's fundamental essence. The third path to proving the Dao is to use merit to prove the Dao. This method uses great merit to enter the body. While it is the simplest, it also results in the weakest cultivation base. And this creation of humanity belongs to that third method of becoming a sage. If one truly uses this method to become a sage, I fear that even after ascension you would be the weakest of all saints. Nuwa broke into a cold sweat upon hearing this. Patriarch Hongjun had mentioned some things, but never in such detail. In the eyes of her master, the three-corpse method was the only way to prove the Dao. In the prehistoric realm, all 3,000 guests of the Zixiao Palace adopted this method. Yet in my view, it is akin to drinking poison to quench one's thirst. I know all too well that although Nuwa is the first of the 6 great saints to attain sainthood, she is also the most tragic. After the war between gods and demons, her brother Fuxi perished, and Laozi used the human race's destiny to establish the human sect, diverting a massive amount of luck. When the demon tribe slaughtered humanity, she was unable to save them. The human emperors were reduced to pawns in the power struggles of the Heavenly Dao saints. The human Dao was suppressed step by step, all of which had a great deal to do with her lack of strength. Just as Nuwa was debating whether or not to create humans to prove the Dao, I spoke with even more shocking words. A saint of the Heavenly Dao is not invincible under the heavens. Even though they claim to have placed their primordial spirits into the void, a saint can still fall the moment they are severed from the heavens and the earth. Furthermore, becoming a Heavenly Dao saint is equivalent to becoming a puppet of the Heavenly Dao. You possess no true freedom. In fact, if the Heavenly Dao wills it, your cultivation and strength can be stripped away at any moment. I happen to possess a unique elixir handed down by my ancestor, known as the Saint Falling Pill. This very elixir has the power to bring about the fall of a saint. Nua's face turned deathly pale as she clenched her hands tightly. Trembling uncontrollably, she realized that becoming a Heavenly Dao saint was not a blessing at all. On the contrary, it was nothing more than a pit of fire. I continued, explaining that the current war between the gods and demons to claim dominance in the primordial world is actually just making wedding clothes for someone else to wear. There will be no winners between these two great clans, and it is even possible that Fuxi will fall. Nua's body shook violently, and she could barely stand on her own. What? Are you saying my brother will fall in the war between the gods and demons? That is absolutely impossible. If I am a saint with my protection, how could my brother possibly fall? It is true, if you were a saint with your protection, Fuxi certainly would not fall. But you must understand, there is more than one saint in this world, and once the Heavenly Dao has determined certain events, how could I allow you to change them? After Fuxi falls, he will be reincarnated as one of the 3 sovereigns of the human race, but he will be imprisoned for all eternity within the Fire Cloud Cave, unable to step out even half a pace. She fell into an immediate panic, forced to believe the truth laid out before her. Even if her brother were resurrected, being imprisoned in the Fire Cloud Cave would be no different than death. Houtu also felt a sense of pity. Having learned the outcome of the war between the gods and demons, she too found it impossible to accept the truth at first, and knowing the pain of losing a brother in battle, she could fully empathize with Nua's state of mind. Qingche, you have said so much. Do you have a way to resolve this? If you do, then speak quickly, and do not let Taoist Nua suffer any longer. Nua's eyes lit up as she bowed to me, begging me to reveal the solution. I am eternally grateful, she said, and I offered a faint smile, thinking to myself that I had finally reeled her in. Taoist Nua, do not be impatient. Regarding this outcome, I have already calculated everything in my mind, as I have been deducing this for tens of thousands of years. And finally, I have devised a way to break this deadlock. It is broadly known as the attainment of the Supreme Nua, and only by achieving the Supreme Nua can one change their destiny. Finding Dagon, Nua felt moved in her heart, while Hutu's expression remained somber. This scene was truly all too familiar. Back then, I told her the exact same thing. If others didn't know the truth, how could she, as his master, not know? Over these tens of thousands of years, other than sleeping, I have done practically nothing, let alone any profound deductions. Yet another soul has been deceived. Poor Nua is simply too naive. Dare I ask, fellow Taoist, what exactly is the Supreme Nua? The path you primarily cultivate is the Tao of creation, which is the origin of all things. Back when heaven and earth were born, chaos was still undivided. Everything was nothingness, yet from that void, existence was brought forth. Once it exists, it transforms into the myriad things governed by the Tao of creation. When cultivated to its absolute limit, one can create matter out of thin air, and can even manifest an entire world with a mere wave of the hand. As long as one can protect the soul, restoring him would not be a difficult task. Nua sighed and replied, "The Tao of creation is truly extraordinary, and I know a little of it myself, but it is incredibly difficult to master. I have cultivated it for billions of years with little progress, so I fear it will be nearly impossible to master it in such a short time." I understand what you mean. The Tao of creation is far from simple, and with the Heavenly Dao intentionally suppressing it, comprehending the essence of the Great Tao is layered with difficulty. However, as I mentioned earlier, fellow Taoist, you are destined to create the human race. In truth, the human race exists beyond just this world. Across thousands of realms, they are the dominant species in the universe. Your Tao of creation can be fully realized through the human race across these various worlds. The human race was born to be the protagonist of heaven and earth, naturally carrying a colossal amount of vital energy and fortune. By simply obtaining a single strand of this immense fortune, once it converges within your body, you can harness the power of the human race from thousands of worlds and condense it into the supreme human Tao body. Relying on such a Tao body, you can grasp the human Tao and become the master of the human Tao. Between heaven and earth, there have always been the three Taos: heaven, earth, and man. But the selfish Heavenly Dao suppresses the rise of the Earth Dao and the Human Dao. The three Daos are inherently meant to hold equal status, and as long as you secure the position of the Master of the Human Dao, you will be able to utilize this power. He even possesses the power to depose the Human Emperor. He can even appoint the Human Dao Saint. A look of wonder flickered in Nua's eyes. If what I say is true, gathering the strength of the human race could provide the capital to defy the Heavenly Dao itself. Your status is surely no less than the ancestor Hongjin, yet I never expected you to have such a cultivation method. If this succeeds, it would be truly terrifying. I replied with a look of disdain. What does this even amount to? Once you grasp the power of the human Dao, you have only completed the first step. Nua looked at me in utter disbelief. What? To think that all of this is only the first step. It means there are even grander schemes to follow. I nodded with a smug expression. Naturally. If it were that simple, it wouldn't be worthy of what I have realized during my 10,000 years of seclusion. What does it mean to be supreme? With a single thought, 10,000 worlds are born. With a single thought, all living beings perish. The myriad worlds of the heavens are the origin of all things, and also the peak of heaven and earth. Wherever the human race exists, the human Tao manifestation shall also exist. Nua closed her eyes slightly, her divine sense piercing through the primordial world. Searching through the vast, boundless chaos, she realized that beyond the primordial world, there exist countless other realms. It is only because the chaos is filled with layers of danger that those with weak strength dare not explore it. The great powers of the primordial world have always believed that only a world with perfect laws is worth cultivating in, and they have never sought to explore the worlds beyond. After 7,000 years of exploration, Nua finally discovered a small world within the chaos, where she used the technique of external incarnation to create the human race, helping them become the masters of that world. As the human race grew stronger, the endless luck of the human Tao returned to her, and her cultivation level began to rise steadily. If she had not been intentionally suppressed, she could have already broken through to the realm of the primordial Hunyuan Daluo Golden Immortal. Nua opened her eyes, her face filled with excitement. Just now, I tested it out, and the power of my creation has improved once again. Furthermore, the human race in that world offers up a portion of their spiritual willpower every single minute. By the time I create the human race in the primordial chaos, my strength will surely reach an even greater peak. Hearing this, Houtu and I were both struck with utter astonishment. The Alliance had just gained another powerful pillar of support. Suddenly, a palace as vast and majestic as the infinite starry sky appeared within Houtu's temple. Countless stellar energies began to intertwine and weave together. Nua furrowed her brows, and only after a long moment did she realize there was someone else inside the hall. Houtu quickly explained, "Fellow Taoist, there is no need for alarm. That surge of energy just now was released by Sister Wangshu. I suspect that her wounds have finally fully recovered. Wangshu is none other than the lunar star sovereign from the primordial era. I had heard she always lived in seclusions on the lunar star. I never expected to find her here with you." No sooner had the words left her lips than the primordial stars within Houtu's temple began to tremble violently. Wangshu's body was now shimmering with the light of 10,000 stars, including over 20 major celestial bodies. Not only had she recovered from the Tao injuries sustained trillions of years ago, But her strength had also reached a new level. Sensing the aura of a Hunyuan Daluo Golden Immortal capable of slaughter, my expression changed drastically, and I exclaimed, "Fellow Taoist, please wait!" Quickly, set up a barrier. Under the current Heavenly Dao, the emergence of a Hunyuan-level existence is strictly forbidden. If the Heavenly Dao discovers this, I fear it will descend with violet divine lightning to destroy us. Neither of them hesitated, and they joined forces to cast a protective barrier. Tremendous power began to radiate outward from the celestial stars. Fortunately, the area was surrounded entirely by the witch tribes. The ancestral witches, who were cultivating in their respective halls, immediately sensed this surge of energy. Acting as one, they combined their efforts to seal the power, while Wangshu remained completely unaware of the chaos outside, feeling only an indescribable sense of relief. The boundless primordial space suddenly began to fluctuate. The stars, which had remained dormant since the Great Ancient War, started to tremble continuously. After Wangshu released a wave of divine intent, all the strange phenomena vanished, and a strand of the original essence merged into her body. Outside the 33 heavens, in the Zixiao Palace, Patriarch Hongjin furrowed his brow. What exactly is happening? This ancient space has shown no movement since that great war. What kind of power could possibly cause such a disturbance? He attempted to calculate the situation, but the heavenly secrets were in total disarray. Even as one who has merged with the Heavenly Dao, he could not uncover a single clue. Hongjin felt a deep sense of unease. Although he possessed the authority of the Heavenly Dao, he was not yet the true embodiment of it. He still had to wait until he fully merged with the Dao to command more of its original essence. However, space-time fluctuations were no big deal to him. The demon court has been established, and once the celestial wedding is complete, the 365-star deities will be appointed. By then, no matter who is pulling the strings from behind the scenes, they will have nowhere to hide. Thinking of this, he closed his eyes and continued to contemplate the Heavenly Dao. Inside the Houtu Palace, Wangshu slowly opened her eyes. Her cultivation had reached the late stage of quasi-saint. Houtu ran over, filled with joy. "Sister, you have finally awakened. How are the wounds on your body?" Wangshu smiled and nodded. "Naturally, thanks to fellow Taoist Qingque. I have finally managed to fuse 2 parts of space, and the injuries on my body have nearly fully recovered. I believe it won't be long before I can fully grasp the great Tao of the stars." Standing to the side, Nuwa was left slightly stunned by what she heard. The transformation of Houtu was already because of him. And now, with the addition of the Lunar Star Monarch, Wangshu, she was even more shocked by his grand plans, secretly thinking that with my help for the Demon Clan, I fear that it won't be easy for the Demon Clan to emerge victorious, and my foolish brother Fuxi will surely encounter grave danger. This matter must be planned for as soon as possible. Nuwa pays her respects to Lady Wangshu. Wangshu smiled and nodded. Although she was in secluded cultivation, she was well aware of everything happening outside, and she felt no animosity toward Nuwa. It wasn't just them who were happy. I stood to the side with a silly grin on my face. Congratulations to the Master for guiding Wangshu to comprehend the laws of space, triggering a 10,000-fold return reward. Congratulations to the Master for obtaining the divine ability, Great Star Formation Map. By taking oneself as the foundation to evolve thousands of stars, one can gather the power of the stars and evolve the creation of heaven and earth by using the stars to refine the 49 star formation maps. With the stars of the ages never fading, the body becomes immortal and indestructible. Beyond containing the power of the stars, this divine ability also houses the movement of thousands of celestial paths is the true origin of all formations. Starlight power is the foundation of star laws, and the movement of the stars is the foundation of the formation. A surge of pure power flowed directly into my body. I immediately sat cross-legged and waved my hand. Innumerable streams of starlight descended from the heavens. They coalesced, forming intricate formations all around me. The expressions of the 3 women changed drastically. Nuwa had arrived late and didn't know the full story, but it was different for the others. Houtu and Wangshu clearly understood that I had only just broken through, yet here I was, breaking through again. What on earth did this guy eat growing up? Wangshu was even more astonished. The formations I had just laid down contained the purest essence of star laws. Transformed into arrays surrounding me, even she found them difficult to see through. Houtu spoke in a rush. Is he really about to break through again? No, I must conceal the heavenly secrets. Wangshu grabbed her hand and shook her head. Sister, do not worry. Haven't you seen the formations that Li Qinghui just set up? These formations are more than enough to conceal many things. We don't need to worry about anything while we are inside these formations. Endless spiritual energy from the heavens and earth poured into me. My power continued to grow without stopping. Wangshu, who had already mastered the laws of the stars, even fell into a state of deep enlightenment. As I sat there cultivating, my aura continued to rise incessantly. Finally, I reached the limit, breaking through to the Daluo Golden Immortal realm. I hit the quasi-saint level, and my pure power was still climbing. Bolts of lightning and fierce winds lashed out constantly. Yet, the moment they touched my formations, they vanished without a trace. On Mount Ganlin, the Taoist Tongtian suddenly sensed a dense wave of formation law energy. His eyes lit up, thinking there was someone in the primordial world with a mastery of formations even higher than his own. As expected, I had underestimated the hidden experts dwelling in this ancient realm. I cannot let this slide. I must visit this master in person. With those words, he followed the trail of power as my cultivation base surged to the mid-stage of the quasi-saint realm, exhausting nearly all of my energy. The strange phenomena faded, and I opened my eyes to see 3 women staring at me in shock. "Why are you all looking at me like that? Do you not recognize me anymore?" Nua shot me a glance, thinking that this fellow cultivator was truly extraordinary, never expecting him to possess such heaven-defying talent. Jumping straight from the peak of Great Luo Golden Immortal across an entire realm, he has reached the mid-stage of quasi-saint. Congratulations, fellow Taoist. With mid-stage quasi-saint strength, you are now among the elite in the primordial era. Aside from a few innate sages, there is no one who can stand against you. Houtu still felt a hint of unease. Even though your cultivation is rising rapidly, you must not become blindly arrogant because of it. You must realize that there are many individuals in the primordial era with immense power. I nodded and smiled. Rest assured, even if my cultivation speed is a bit faster than others, I am still fully aware of my own strength. Wouldn't it be better to just stay in the Pangu palace and sleep? Why bother going out to wander aimlessly? After suppressing my aura, I moved to dismantle the formation. From afar, the Tongtian Taoist sensed the laws of the formation fading away, and he sighed with regret. So be it. It seems I am not fated to meet such an expert. Hopefully I can meet Lady Houtu in the future. Feng, Wang, and Shu are all renowned female cultivators in the primordial era, each possessing profound insights into the Tao, none falling short of the others. And after spending some time together, they felt it wasn't enough, chatting incessantly, leaving me completely left out of the conversation. Seeing that I looked rather bored, Houtu spoke up. "Go and focus on your cultivation. Even though your cultivation level is very high, you lack any real combat experience. You should go find my brothers and practice with them for a while." I suddenly stood up and vanished like a flash of light, shooting out of Houtu's palace toward the Pangu palace, my voice echoing from the distance. "Master, I just did some calculations and realized there are still some things yet to be evolved. I must head back to Pangu palace to work on them now. Unless there is a major crisis, do not come looking for me." The 3 of them burst into laughter watching me flee, while I was left scowling. I had no choice. I didn't want to provoke those ancestors. Every single one of them is a battle maniac. It's not that I couldn't beat them, it's just that these people never seem to get tired. They would finish one round only to start another. It was a total headache, and when I first joined Houtu's sect, I was forced to train with the Wu tribe. That period of time was a living nightmare. If you didn't win, you got beaten, and if you did win, you still had to keep fighting. It wasn't until a brutal battle erupted in the chaotic void that a formidable army marched toward the Taiyin Star, led by none other than Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi. They carried countless rare treasures and exotic gifts, intending to propose marriage to Lady Wangshu. The demon clan had heard rumors that Lady Wangshu was an ancient immortal with cultivation at the saint level, and her beauty was truly peerless and legendary. Driven by obsession, they brought their dowry to her doorstep, but because she was deep in meditation, she refused them without hesitation. As one of the 10 great demon saints who had dominated the wilderness for years, he had never been treated with such disrespect. If not for the fact that Wangshu might become the future heavenly empress, he certainly wouldn't have been so polite. Having failed his mission and fearing to face the demon emperor, he returned home, twisting the truth to stir up anger in Dijun. Daijin flew into a rage. "Abominable! I am the emperor of the demon clan. In all the wilderness, who dares to defy me? Does this minor Taiyin star think she can treat me this way? Is she not afraid that I will lead the heavenly court's army to crush her?" Donghuang Taiyi nodded in agreement. "Brother, there is no need for you to handle this yourself. I will personally lead the demon army and capture this petty star for you." Fushi hurriedly stepped in to stop them. "Your Majesty, please, stay calm. Even though Lady Wangshu is only the Taiyin Star Lord, she is an innate saint who has existed since the primordial era. If you wish to forge a divine marriage, you must be prepared to pay the price. Everything is worth it for the benefit of the demon clan. In my opinion, rather than forcing her, we should create a grander display. If everyone in the heavens and the earth witnesses this, she surely won't dare to refuse." Dijun pondered for a moment, thinking that if Wangshu was to be his future empress, he could not afford to lose face. "Very well, then I shall go and invite her personally." Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi led a massive entourage of demon saints, marching aggressively toward the Taiyin Star. Across the wilderness, all the great masters were already aware of these developments. On Mount Kunlun, Yuanshi Tianzun frowned in disdain. In the end, they are just creatures born from damp, murky origins. They lack any sense of virtue, turning a trivial matter into a spectacle for the whole world to see. Tongchen wore a look of utter contempt. At this point, if they fail, I see it clearly now. This demon race is nothing but a bunch of calculating predators. If the goddess of the lunar star agrees, things might end well, but if they refuse, the demon race will lose face and will inevitably seek to reclaim it. I fear that a massive conflict is now unavoidable. Before the lunar star, the demon emperor shouted loudly, "I am the heavenly emperor of the demon race, and together with Dong Huang, I have come to visit the lunar star to propose marriage to Wang Shu. I request an audience with Lady Wang Shu." Inside the Guanghan Palace, Shi and Changxi were so anxious they were pulling at their hair. "Sister, what should we do now? She still hasn't sent any word. The ones who arrived are the leaders of the demon race. I fear it won't be easy to simply turn them away." Shihei gritted her teeth. "Little sister, don't worry. The demon race is not someone we can easily offend. Perhaps we should just tell them the truth. As long as we are polite and respectful, I believe nothing will happen." The two of them stepped out of the lunar star, and a pathway opened up before them. When the emperor saw the two exceptionally beautiful women, a flame of desire ignited within his heart. If the attendants are this stunning, then Lady Wangshu must be breathtakingly beautiful. "We are Shihei and Changxi, servants of Lady Wangshu." They bowed to the demon emperor, who smiled and nodded, his eyes burning with intent. "So, the two of you are the goddesses. I do not know where Lady Wangshu is, but I wish to follow the Heavenly Dao and propose to her. I request to see her." The two of them looked at each other, their expressions filled with difficulty. "Your Majesty, our mistress has long since traveled to the primordial wilderness and has yet to return." The emperor's expression turned sour upon hearing this. He had not expected to fail this time. In the primordial wilderness, the great powers were watching the demon race closely, and leaving now would be a massive loss of face. The emperor narrowed his eyes. "The two goddesses, are you speaking the truth? I am the emperor of the demon race. You should understand the consequences of lying to me." The emperor's face darkened, and Shihei grew deeply worried. "Your Majesty, this is the truth. This is not a matter we dare to decide on our own." Donghuang Taiyi wore a look of utter disdain. "Big brother, it is certain that Wangshu is just hiding away. There is no point in talking to these two. Let the demon emperor break the defenses of the lunar star. Once that is done, we will take all of them back with us." The emperor remained silent. Donghuang Taiyi understood his intentions immediately. With his brother's silent approval, he brought out the chaos bell, declaring, "I don't care whether Wangshu is on Taiyin Star or not. My brother has already given you enough face. Don't be ungrateful. Either you follow me, or I will shatter Taiyin Star entirely, and things will get very ugly from there." Changxi trembled with worry, tears welling in her eyes. "Her ladyship is truly not here. Are you demon clan members not ashamed to bully others with your might?" Donghuang Taiyi laughed arrogantly. "Haha, in these wild lands, might makes right, and the demon clan has the most might. Who would dare laugh at us?" Having said that, he raised the chaos bell and slammed it against the defensive barrier of Taiyin Star. With a thunderous boom, the great formation shuddered violently. Faint cracks began to appear. With one more strike, the fissures grew even more severe, and he felt a surge of excitement deep within, believing that just one more hit would shatter the barrier. The chaos bell descended with destructive power, truly overbearing. A shout rang out from the void, and infinite starlight instantly gathered into the defensive formation. The barrier immediately restored itself, as voice echoed, "You dare act so recklessly outside my domain? Do you think Taiyin Star is completely undefended?" Within the chaotic space, countless strands of starlight converge into a golden figure of a goddess, elegant in movement and majestic in presence, which is none other than Wangshu herself, leaving Shihei and Changxi filled with emotion. "Your ladyship, you have finally returned. Your servants almost didn't make it to see you again." Wangshu wore a cold expression. "What does your demon clan intend to do? Do you really think Taiyin Star is so easily pushed around?" Dijun laughed loudly. "Your ladyship, worry not. My two brothers were just joking with these two goddesses earlier. I apologize to you on their behalf." Wangshu flicked her sleeve. "I will consider today's incident as if it never happened, so leave at once, or do not blame me for being discourteous. Your ladyship, please don't be concerned. I am a primordial divine born from the sun star, and I am currently the emperor of the demon clan across the 33 heavens. The demon clan is currently missing an empress. I have admired you for a long time. Would you be willing to join the demon clan so we may unite in a divine marriage?" Wangshu's expression turned even colder. "That is absolutely impossible. If you continue to pester me, don't blame me for what happens next." The emperor's smile suddenly vanished. "Do you really have no intention of reconsidering Taoist? Do you have any idea what it means to reject an emperor of the demon court? Are you actually planning to strike at me, emperor?" The emperor realized he had been pushed to the edge. If it must be this way, then do not blame me, Taoist. Brother, attack! Donghuang Taiyi raised the chaos bell and brought it crashing down toward Wang Shu. Wang Shu gently raised her hand, and the boundless starlight gathered in the sky, carrying a destructive aura, only to be completely erased by her presence, stopping dead in midair, unable to budge an inch. Taiyi's face shifted in terror. He spat out blood to force the artifact, but the chaos bell remained frozen. Seeing this, the emperor channeled the Houtu Luoshu to assist him, causing an instant stir among the powerful cultivators watching from the wilderness. The demon race truly knows no shame. How disgraceful for two demon emperors to team up against a single woman. It's a pity that someone as beautiful as Wang Shu has fallen into the hands of these demons. Is Wang Shu actually channeling that much starlight to hold them off? The three were locked in a stalemate, with none willing to yield, leaving the observers in the wilderness unable to remain calm. Is this truly the power of the Taiyan Star Lord? To think she can stand alone against two great emperors of the demon race. Perhaps only the Houtu of the shaman tribe could rival such power. Are all the female cultivators in this wilderness this terrifying? Inside Zixiao Palace, Hongjun Daozu furrowed his brow, wondering, is she not cultivating the great Dao of Taiyin? How does she possess such vast amounts of starlight? Another anomaly, but having her stabilize the starry sky might actually relieve some pressure, waiting for the heavenly court to seal the 365 star paths to reclaim their authority. Thinking this, he turned his attention away, while the emperor and Donghuang Taiyi looked as furious as if they had swallowed gall. Brother, if we cannot capture her, the reputation of the demon race will suffer a catastrophic blow. If that happens, what will the demon race have left to rely on to unify the world? Use your full power to seize her. The demon soldiers obeyed, arranging the Hunyuan Haluo Grand Formation as countless. Wang Shu, our demon race possesses immense power. You are absolutely no match for us. I will give you one final chance. Join the demon race and become our heavenly empress. Otherwise, do not blame me for being heartless. Wang Shu gritted her teeth. You can dream on. This matter is not for you to decide. Since you are so stubborn, do not blame me for being heartless. The demon race activated the chaotic Hunyuan Heluo formation, sending a massive wave of chaotic energy crashing toward Wang Shu. Just when everyone thought Wang Shu was surely doomed, a surge of earthy spiritual energy erupted from the wasteland, shattering the chaotic power. You demon race members really have some nerve, ganging up on a single woman. Are you not afraid of being mocked by all the living beings of the wasteland? A woman in a pale yellow palace dress appeared. It was the Empress Houtu, her expression cold and displeased. This matter has nothing to do with your god race. Leave quickly, or do not blame me for being heartless. Houtu let out a cold laugh and stood beside Wang Shu. Sister, I have arrived late. Please do not blame me. Wang Shu shook her head. There is no need for such formalities, little sister. Thank you for stepping in to help. I will remember this debt. But Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi were trapped in a dilemma, unable to fight or retreat. Just then, a demon god stumbled toward them. Your Majesty, something terrible has happened. The god race is attacking the heavenly court. Our heavenly court was unprepared and has already suffered heavy losses. While your Majesty and the demon master are desperately holding the line here, we beg your Majesty to provide reinforcements immediately. Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi glared at Houtu, looking as if they wanted to devour her alive. You god race members are truly shameless, actually daring to attack the heavenly court while we are away. This is beyond imagination. Today, I will certainly teach you a lesson. The demon sage Bays hurriedly stepped in to stop them. Your Majesty, please do not be rash. Currently, all our strongest fighters in the heavenly court have already been brought out here with us. If the god race uses their full strength to attack now, I fear we will suffer devastating losses. The heavenly court is the foundation of the demon race and must not suffer any mistakes. I beg your Majesty to think carefully. Dijun calmed down, knowing that today he would simply have to swallow his pride. Consider yourselves lucky today, but I, the demon sovereign, will certainly settle this score with you in the future. After finishing his statement, he led the demon race in a hasty retreat back to the heavenly court. Wang Shu let out a long sigh of relief. She had only recently mastered the astral arts and had already struggled just to hold her ground against the Dijun and Taiyi. If Houtu hadn't arrived in time, we would have truly been in deep trouble today. We were incredibly fortunate to have the Wu clan here today. I owe the Wu clan a great debt of gratitude. Since you have come all the way to Taiyin Star, would you be willing to visit again in the future? Houtu smiled gently and replied, that would be wonderful. My sisters and I would love to see your cultivation grounds. Wang Shu, hurry and welcome our guest, Houtu, and serve her the unique laurel tea of Taiyin Star. While the others are in seclusion, the 10 other ancestral Wu have all arrived. Fuxi and Kunpeng are relying on the heavenly court's defensive formation to resist with everything they have. They barely managed to hold the Lingxiao Palace, but there is one outlier among the Wu clan, and that is me. Once I heard the news that the demon race was heading to Taiyin Star, I immediately coordinated a plan with the other ancestral Wu. Houtu would go to rescue Wang Shu, while the others took the opportunity to strike the Heavenly Court. By besieging the base to save the comrade, the demon race in the Heavenly Court was caught completely off guard. In no time at all, they suffered a disastrous defeat. They were forced to retreat into the Lingxiao Palace to defend their position. As the rest of the Wu clan launched their assault on the Lingxiao Palace, I led my group of clansmen behind the lines, looting everything in sight. Quickly now, grab those pillars made of primordial spiritual essence and bring them to me. Take all the remains of the fallen demons as well. I bet this meat will taste absolutely delicious. Once we get home, I will put on a cooking show for all of you. The water in this spirit pool isn't half bad. Take it all. You lot are really a bunch of spendthrifts. These floor tiles are made of precious materials for weapon refining. Hurry up and rip them all out for me. The ancestral Wu covered their faces in embarrassment, thinking that this guy was truly shameless and they should never bring him out in public again. A short while later, the entire Heavenly Court had been thoroughly looted, and the treasures that the demon race couldn't move in time had all found their way into my pockets. I figured that Dijun and Taiyi would be returning soon. I immediately signaled the others. Everyone, retreat now. Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi are about to return, and if we stay, we're going to get crushed. We've already gained enough, so it's time to pull out. Dijong nodded, though in his heart, he couldn't help but feel a sense of regret. They were only a step away from taking down the Lingxiao Palace. Capturing Fuxi and Kunpeng would have effectively halved the battle power of the demon clan. Despite his deep unwillingness, Dijong still gave the order to retreat. Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi rushed back in a hurry, only to find the Heavenly Court utterly transformed and hollowed out, resembling a massive, depleted construction site. A look of total disbelief crossed Donghuang Taiyi's face as he whispered, "Is this truly still our Heavenly Court?" Daijun was so overcome with rage that blood surged to his chest, and he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. "Wu clan, you bastards! I will not rest until I have obliterated you. I will tear you all to pieces." Seeing Dijun return, Kunpeng's heart, which had been tight with tension, finally relaxed, and he immediately broke down in tears. "Your Majesties, you have finally returned. The Wu clan has raided us, and we have suffered devastating losses. If Fuxi had not led us to retreat into the Lingxiao Palace, who knows how much more our demon clan would have lost." He looked up, stunned by the sight of the battered and scarred Heavenly Court. "Am I not supposed to be in the Heavenly Court? What place is this? Could it be that even the Heavenly Court has to undergo expansions to compensate for the wretched state of the demon clan?" Meanwhile, the Wu clan was going wild with joy. Not only did they strike the demon clan and kill many of their experts, but the remaining demon clan wealth had also been completely scavenged by me. All the heavenly treasures and cultivation resources accumulated over countless years had fallen right into my hands. The tribes of the Wu clan were preparing a grand feast to celebrate, and everyone was in high spirits. Haha, that battle was absolutely exhilarating. We tore the Heavenly Court to pieces. Those two feathered birds must be fuming right now. While everyone else was busy tearing the place down, I was more proactive than anyone. I happily followed behind, looting all the salvaged materials into my own pocket dimension. Since the Wu clan doesn't cultivate their primordial spirits and focuses solely on physical refinement, these cultivation resources were useless to them, meaning it all ended up with me. No, no, no. A sudden boisterous roar echoed throughout the Wu clan territory, startling everyone. Where did that sound come from? It scared the life out of me. If I ever catch that guy, I'll tear him to shreds. Zhurong's face was filled with pure fury. He had been drinking and lecturing the small fries in his tribe just a moment ago. I thought the demon race was launching an attack here. Everyone turned toward the source of the noise, and upon realizing it was coming from Zhuzhuyin's Temple of Time, their faces drained of color. Is that sound really coming from our second brother? Could something have happened to him? Changliang asked, filled with suspicion. Xuanming struck him with a heavy slap. Why are you wasting time talking? If you don't hurry over to check on him, I will never forgive you if something has truly happened to our second brother. The ancestral witches rushed toward the Temple of Time in a panic. Inside the temple, Zhujuyin was oscillating between hysterical laughter and weeping. The other ancestral witches looked at each other, completely at a loss. What exactly happened to our second brother? Has he finally lost his mind? Gong Gong scratched his head, and as Zhujuyin saw his brothers had arrived, his eyes turned red, and he lunged forward to embrace them tightly. You are all still here. Thank goodness. The ancestral witches stood there, filled with confusion. Given their resilience, the Wu clan doesn't even possess a primordial spirit. How could they fear some demonic energy or illusions? Dijong patted Zhujuyin on the shoulder. Second brother, what on earth has happened? Tell your brother, why have you suddenly become like this? Zhuju Yin explained how he had been training in the Tao of Time, which led him to peer into the river of time. He witnessed a vision of the future, the ancestors turning into the cycle of reincarnation, all the ancestral witches falling in battle, and the children of the Wu clan suffering near total extinction. Within the flow of time, he found himself utterly powerless to resist. Returning to reality and seeing his brothers made him lose control, especially after hearing that the war between the Wu and demon clans would lead to mutual destruction. The ancestral witches looked on in disbelief. That's impossible. We are the direct descendants of the Father God. How could that pack of demons ever hope to compare to us? Are we supposed to believe those two feathered birds, Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi, could actually defeat us? Second brother, are you sure you haven't been manipulated by someone else? The ancestral witches clamored with questions, and even Di Zhang began to lose his temper. Second brother, do you not believe in our strength? What you saw is merely one potential path for the future. It is not guaranteed to be the truth. Furthermore, our Wu clan possesses the 12 divine demon great formation. As long as no saint interferes, no one can stand against us. Before the voice could finish, another sound cut through the air. Brothers, listen to me. The one arriving is Houtu, who just returned from the Taiyin star. After she pushed back the Emperor and Taiyi to remain on the Taiyin star, she heard the commotion from the Wu clan and hurried back to join them. Tian Wu suppressed the anger burning within him. Little sister, why are you helping our second brother when he is talking nonsense? Could it be that even you believe our Wu clan cannot defeat those monster clan animals? Dijang stepped forward. Little sister, you are Li Qingqi's master. You must know something. Houtu nodded. I do know a thing or two. This coming calamity is known as the Great Tribulation of the Wu and Monster clans. Whether it is the Monster clan or our Wu clan, both are destined to be caught in the disaster. Our two tribes will suffer catastrophic losses in this massive war, pushing us to the brink of extinction, with neither side becoming the ruler of the prehistoric world. In this way, the influence of our Father God's merits over the prehistoric land will gradually weaken, and that is exactly what serves the interests of the Heavenly Dao. The Wu clansmen started cursing immediately. Fortunately, this place was isolated from the heavenly secrets. Otherwise, the Heavenly Dao would have descended to punish them just for those words. Houtu glanced toward Zhuju Yin, second brother. How did your strength break through so significantly? I can feel the incredibly dense power of the laws of time circulating around you. Zhuju Yin laughed loudly. That is right. I am cultivating the supreme time plan laid out by Li Qingqi. I am now able to perceive the power of time, even if it is only a tiny fraction of it. But if given enough time, I will be able to fully master the power of time itself. But the things I saw this time were also cut from the timeline by me. Of course, this is only the theoretical outcome. Although everything is predestined under the Heavenly Dao, there is always a glimmer of hope left for survival. If we want to seize this slim chance, we must plan carefully. The ancestral witches nodded, and Gong Gong slapped his forehead. You say all of this was provided to you by Li Qingqi? That guy may not have much power, but his brain is truly sharp. Why don't we go find him and ask for advice? Perhaps our strength can be improved as well. And by then, I could single-handedly crush those two feathered birds, Donghuang Taiyi and the Emperor. The other ancestral witches also expressed interest, while Houtu looked a bit embarrassed. She truly wanted to help her brothers, but she couldn't help but feel they were being too greedy. As my master, he has taught me nothing over these years, yet I owe him such a great debt of gratitude that I dare not even open my mouth to speak. Xuanming saw the difficulty Houtu was facing and said, Brothers, I do not believe this is the right way to handle things. Li Qingqi only taught these things to our second brother for the sake of our younger sister. According to what the cultivators in the primordial era say, this is called karma, but our relationship with Li Qingqi is not that close, and we have no such karma with him. If we just leave like this, I fear it will not end well. We already know the outcome of the war between the gods and the demons. Brother, the fact that our second brother and younger sister have become so powerful is already a blessing amidst this misfortune. If we possess such immense power and still cannot find a path of survival for the Wasi tribe, then the fault truly lies with us. How can we still have the dignity to beg a junior for help? All the ancestors nodded in agreement. Dijang made his decision. From now on, the Wasi tribe will temporarily cease all conflicts with the demon race. Of course, if they take the initiative to provoke us, we will not be afraid to strike back. Starting today, regarding Li Qingqi, and even our second brother and sister, it is to be kept as the highest secret of the Wasi tribe. No one is permitted to speak of it to outsiders. This concerns the life and death of our entire tribe. We cannot afford to be careless. Furthermore, as for the future path of the Wasi tribe, this will be decided by our second brother and younger sister. Do any of you have any objections? The ancestors all shook their heads. Zhuju Yin and Houtu discussed the matter. Since I am the one telling them this, I certainly know more. It would be better to go and ask for their opinion. The demon race in the Heavenly Court has suffered extremely heavy losses. Their treasury was completely looted, and they lack the cultivation resources to attract new disciples. And rebuilding the Heavenly Court is a monumental task. Daijun looked at the desolate and ruined Heavenly Court, and the pain in his heart was beyond words. Not only did the wedding fail, but their home had been reduced to this state. Donghuang Taiyi thought for a moment and said, "Big brother, why don't we go and speak with the Dao Ancestor? If the Dao Ancestor needs our demon race to stabilize the operation of the celestial stars, he will surely have to pay a price. I trust that the Dao Ancestor will definitely help us." Dajin gritted his teeth and replied, "Second brother is right. We will go and beg the Dao Ancestor." The two traversed through the chaos to reach the gates of the Zixiao Palace, dropping directly to their knees before the demon emperor, Dijun. Taiyi requested an audience with the Dao Ancestor, and the heavy doors of Zixiao Palace swung wide open. The young child Hoshin stepped out, watching the two demon emperors and thinking to himself that one must know when to yield and when to be firm. It was indeed a lesson worth learning. "Your Majesties, my master has summoned you inside." The two followed Hoshin within, where the ancestor sat upon a cushion, his figure appearing dreamlike, as if he had become one with the heavens and the earth. Demon Emperors Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi pay respects to the master. "May the master be well." The ancestor opened his eyes slightly. "What business brings you to Zixiao Palace?" Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi fell to their knees, weeping bitterly. "Master, your disciples are in great distress. We have always strived for the stability of the prehistoric realm. Building the Heavenly Court was meant to bring order to the chaos and to suppress the realms, but those ancestral witches are truly despicable, daring to wreak havoc on the Heavenly Court while we were away. The Heavenly Court is now in ruins, and the demon race is left with nothing but an empty shell. We beg you, Master, to intervene on our behalf." The Dao Ancestor's expression darkened. When would these two ever learn how to properly approach a Dao Ancestor? Such a promising beginning, completely ruined by their dramatic display. They had already embarrassed themselves once before. Did they really expect him to step in again? Seeing that the Dao Ancestor remained unmoved, Dijun frantically cried out again. "Master, the momentum of the Wu clan has become far too arrogant. Our race truly cannot withstand their onslaught. We have no choice but to surrender. Your disciple truly cannot accept this." The Dao Ancestor paused in confusion. This didn't feel right. Given Daijuzan nature, he would never truly surrender. How could a man of such stature live beneath another for long? It seemed they were using this threat as leverage, and though he was annoyed, he realized he could not simply refuse. He had not yet merged with the Dao, and heaven and earth required a balance between the witches and the demons. If that balance were broken, it would lead to endless trouble. The Dao Ancestor waved his hand, and countless heavenly treasures manifested before them, teleporting the two back to the Heavenly Court in an instant. The voice of the Dao Ancestor echoed through the air. "Only this once. There will not be a second time." The dilapidated Heavenly Court miraculously restored itself, with fairy mist swirling around the pavilions and towers. The two bowed towards Zixiao Palace, filled with joy. "The grace of the Master, the demon race shall certainly engrave upon our hearts." Donghuang Taiyi's mouth twitched. "Big brother, do you think what we just did was a bit damaging to our pride? If others find out about this, I fear it will not work in our favor." Daijun flushed with embarrassment. "Ahem, little brother, you simply do not understand. Tiandao naturally has its own plans. We are doing this for the growth of the demon race, and losing a little face for our race is a small price to pay. Can you understand that?" Taiyi nodded, appearing as though he only half understood. Even though it was humiliating, gaining so many resources in the end meant that rebuilding the Heavenly Court would be no issue. Inside the Lingxiao Palace, the high-ranking members of the demon race discussed the path to restoration. "After this battle, the prestige of the demon race has suffered a heavy blow, and we must find a way to resolve it." Fushi pondered for a moment and said, "Your Majesties, in my humble opinion, the marriage alliance must still proceed. Only by securing this union can the strength of the demon race be elevated to the next level. Especially with the strength of the Taiyan Star Lord. If we can bring her into the fold, our power will surely surpass the Wu clan. I believe that even if we go to war with the Wu clan, we will have a glimmer of hope for victory." Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi had grim expressions on their faces. Having visited the Taiyan Star twice already, they still felt the sting of their defeat. "Fushi, it was your idea to go there, and now she has turned her back on us. Let alone a wedding, we barely escaped with our lives. The next time we clash with the Wu clan, she might even help them." But his eyes suddenly darted around as a thought struck him. "Your Majesties, between heaven and earth, yin and yang are the fundamental laws. As they say, yin alone cannot produce, and yang alone cannot grow. We only need the status of the Taiyan Star. Whether it is Wangshu herself is not important. Your Majesties, do not forget, besides Wangshu, there are others on the Taiyan Star." Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi's eyes lit up. Wangshu is an ancient deity who is not easily manipulated, but her attendants, Shihe and Changxi, are beautiful and naive, making them easy to deceive. Furthermore, they have spent billions of years together with Wangshu, with a bond as close as sisters. In the conflict between the Wu clan and the demon race, if they are in danger, Wangshu will certainly not stand by idly. This plan is brilliant. The group laughed heartily, while Fuxi and Donghuang Taiyi concealed the heavenly secrets, and Dijun began to scheme. On the Taiyan Star, Wangshu was still deep in cultivation. Ever since the battle outside the Taiyan Star, she seemed to have been energized, training tirelessly without rest, determined to eventually conquer and control all the stars in the heavens. Hidden under the veil of heaven's secrets, she remained completely unaware of the situation outside. During this time, Heihua had begun an affair with Dijun. Although she was initially defensive due to their previous unpleasant encounter, she was soon completely won over by him. A creature born from the lunar star naturally held an irresistible attraction for the three-legged golden crow of the solar star. Changxi was hesitant about whether to inform Wangshu, but after Heihua's desperate pleas, she had no choice but to let it be. Dijun gazed upon the breathtaking beauty of Changxi with nothing but pure greed, though Changxi herself felt absolutely nothing for him. Power could not be used on the lunar star, leaving her with no other options. Tens of thousands of years had passed, and Wangshu had finally refined half of the stars. Intending to travel across the primordial era, she prepared to find Heihua and Changxi to give them some final instructions. Changxi bowed respectfully, congratulating Wangshu on her successful emergence from seclusion. Her power had clearly reached a brand new level. Wangshu wore a look of deep suspicion. "Why are you the only one here? Why do I not see Heihua?" Changxi hurriedly explained that her sister was in closed-door cultivation and could not appear, begging Wangshu for her forgiveness. Wangshu furrowed her brows. "Is that really the truth? It is not a lie. If Heihua is not on the lunar star, then where exactly has she gone?" Changxi's expression shifted drastically. This flimsy deception could never hope to fool the eyes of Wangshu. "Please, Wangshu, I beg for your mercy. My sister was only acting out of a moment of carelessness. She will return before long." Wangshu flicked her sleeve, instantly manifesting in the vast expanse of space between the stars. She caught Heihua and Dijun locked in a passionate embrace. Wangshu's face turned deathly pale, and she let out a chilling shout. "This is absolutely outrageous. Heihua, do you even realize what you are doing?" Heihua was so terrified that her soul nearly left her body. "Lady Wangshu, I know I was wrong, but Dijun and I are truly in love. Please, Wangshu, I ask that you grant us your blessing." Dijun nodded as well, declaring that his love for Heihua was love at first sight. "We ask that you grant us your blessing, and Heihua shall become being worshipped by all living beings." Wangshu saw the smug look on Dijun's face and instantly realized this was another one of his schemes, causing her to grit her teeth in pure fury. "Haha, do you not realize that Dijun is not a good person? This demon sect is absolutely no place to stay for long. If you continue like this, you will destroy your own future. Have you ever stopped to think?" But Hiei had already fallen deep into the web of love. How could she possibly contemplate such things? "My lady, please rest assured. I trust Dijun, and he will certainly protect me completely." Regardless of how Wangshu tried to persuade her, Hiei remained steadfast in her resolve. Wangshu sighed helplessly, knowing that fate is fleeting like a falling leaf, and if this was her choice, she simply said, "Then go. From this day forward, you and my Taiyan star have no further connection." With those words, she vanished into the void. Ha suddenly felt a void in her heart, as if something that once belonged to her had slipped away forever. Although Dijun couldn't force Wangshu onto the demon clan's war chariot, successfully pulling off the heavenly marriage and winning such a beauty was already a massive victory. Paul's eyes brimmed with affection. "Now you are all I have to rely on. You must never bully me." Daijun grasped her hands tightly. "Fairy, rest assured, I shall declare it to the primordial world. You will be the heavenly empress of the demon clan, with status second only to mine. I will make you the happiest female immortal under the heavens." Daijun and Hiei traveled together to the heavenly court. Hiei had already reached the late stage of the Taiyi Golden Immortal realm, and with Wangshu standing behind her, the prestige of the demon clan had grown significantly. Once Hiei departed, the high-ranking members of the demon clan began their deliberations. "Fuxi, now that I have married Hiei, how should we proceed to complete the heavenly marriage?" Fuxi calculated for a moment before replying. "Everything is ready, save for one crucial item, the hydrangea ball. The hydrangea ball is a supreme innate spiritual treasure that the ancestor Hongjun bestowed upon Nuwa at the Fenbao Cliff." Donghuang Taiyi's expression turned excited. "That's wonderful. The hydrangea ball belongs to Empress Nuwa, and since the Empress is part of our demon clan, she will surely help us." A look of awkwardness flickered across the faces of those gathered. Although Nuwa was the nominal empress of the demon clan, she had never once managed its affairs, and borrowing the hydrangea ball would likely not be easy. Everyone turned their gaze toward Fuxi. The Empress is your sister. Would you be willing to make the trip? Fuxi pondered for a moment, admitting that it had indeed been a long time since he last visited Mount Buzhou. If you fellow Taoists trust me, then leave it to me to go and borrow it. The hydrangea ball. Fuxi flew toward Mount Buzhou, calling out loudly before he had even reached the entrance of the cave. Younger sister, I have returned, but why is there not a single sound inside? Nua slightly opened her eyes, her face filled with clear displeasure. Do you still have the nerve to come back? Think carefully about how long it has been since you last returned. For me, this place is your true cultivation base, not the heavenly court. Fuxi hurriedly tried to soothe her. Little sister, I am only doing this for our own benefit. Currently, we are both emperors of the demon race. If we do nothing, won't others talk behind our backs? A look of disdain crossed Nua's face. It is merely a position as a demon emperor. At the very worst, we can just step down from these roles. In this entire primordial world, is there anyone who would actually dare to cross us? Fuxi looked unhappy. Little sister, that is not the right way to look at it. The Heavenly Emperor and Donghuang have treated us very well, and everything I do is for the sake of our demon race. Once our demon race unifies the primordial world, who would dare to disrespect us? I know that you possess the primordial violet chi, and in the future, you will certainly become a sage. But in this world, you are not the only one who holds the primordial violet chi, and without the demon race and the heavenly court as our backing, I worry that you will be at a disadvantage. Nua found herself unable to say anything more. Ever since they were born, Fuxi has considered her in every single thing he does. Back then, while listening to the teachings at Zixiao Palace, those who sat in the front rows were clearly extraordinary. Fuxi originally had the chance to take a seat, but he didn't hesitate to give it to her instead. Older brother, I know that you only have my best interests at heart, but this demon race is absolutely not a long-term plan, and under the Heavenly Dao, the demon race cannot endure forever. Fuxi laughed heartily. Little sister, you are mistaken in saying that. Although the demon race has suffered some losses lately, it does not affect our foundation. Currently, across the entire primordial land, the vast majority of tribes are aligning with the demon race. We remain the #1 power in the primordial world. How could we not endure? Then, brother, why didn't you mention the witch race as well? Fuxi became a bit impatient. A bunch of people without primordial spirits who do not understand the heavenly timing. How could people like that last for long? Furthermore, they are all warlike, causing the entire primordial land to become stained with filth. Fortunately, they possess the merit of creation, but even such vast merit cannot withstand their endless abuse. Once that merit is exhausted, their destruction is inevitable. Seeing Fuxi so full of confidence, Nua feels a pang of hesitation, but recalling his tragic death and loss of cultivation during the Lich War, she cannot hold back any longer. She reaches out to conceal the heavenly secrets, intending to reveal to Fuxi everything she knows about the Wu clan. Upon hearing this, Fuxi is stunned, and after a moment of reflection, he speaks in a solemn tone. My dear sister, you are truly far too naive. How could you ever trust those people from the Wu clan? Furthermore, my sister, have you ever seen anyone with such extraordinary cultivation talent? Who could possibly leap across so many realms in such a short time? In my view, this must be nothing more than an illusion created by the Wu clan to deceive you. And how could what that person claimed about the conspiracies of the Heavenly Dao possibly be true? Especially considering that the Dao ancestor himself bestowed upon us our cultivation methods, and even gifted us so many divine artifacts. How could we ever dare to doubt him? Nua flares with anger, frustrated that Fuxi refuses to believe her. Brother, we have lived since the beginning of time. Do you truly believe I cannot tell the difference between truth and lies? The Lich War is not as simple as you perceive. Brother, you really should let this go. Otherwise, when the great calamity arrives, I fear that even I will not be able to protect you from harm. Fuxi scoffs coldly. My sister, you have been truly deceived by them. It is ruthless. These people would never dare to openly oppose our demon clan. It is nothing more than these sinister tricks. It is pitiful. Sister, rest assured, didn't you say it was the little disciple of Houtu, that person named Li Qingqi, who said these things? I will head to the Wu territory and drag him back now, so he can tell you the truth himself, and everything will be made clear. Having said this, he immediately rushes out of the cavern, flying directly toward the lands of the Wu clan. Nua panics, for that place is the heart of the Wu territory. If Fuxi recklessly charges in and is captured by the ancestral witches, with furious strides, Fuxi charged directly into the Houtu tribe of the Wu clan, his momentum shaking the very earth. Huafu and Hoi's expressions shifted instantly. They couldn't believe Fuxi had come to the Wu clan alone, as if seeking his own death. They had to stop him at all costs. The two stood firmly in Fuxi's path, demanding, Fuxi, why have you come to the Wu territory? Do you really think you can ignite a war all by yourself? Xiangliang, Fuxi's face twisted with rage. You members of the Wu clan are truly despicable. resorting to underhanded schemes and dirty tricks, deceiving my sister. If you know what's good for you, hand over the culprit so I can confront him. Otherwise, don't blame me, Fushi, for being ruthless. Kuafu grew equally incensed. How laughable. You are merely a member of the monster clan. We could crush your kind without breaking a sweat, so why would we ever need to resort to tricks? Are you really worth the effort of a scheme? That's right. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Why make up so many pathetic excuses? Fushi could no longer contain his fury, remembering how the ancestral Wu had joined forces to ambush him back at the Heavenly Court. And now these mere juniors dared to mock him to his face. Enough with the nonsense. It seems a battle is inevitable. Fuxi drew out his zither, the sound waves slicing through the air like razor-sharp blades as he launched his assault. Relying on their incredibly durable bodies, Kuafu and Houyi managed to block the initial strikes, but after a few exchanges they were overwhelmed and forced back. Fushi was secretly shocked. These two were only at the Taiyi Golden Immortal realm, yet they had managed to withstand several of his attacks. The terrifying resilience of the Wu clan's physical bodies was legendary, and from above, a thunderous shout erupted. How insolent. You have some nerve, causing chaos within our territory. Do you honestly believe there is no one left in the Wu clan? Zhurong and Gonggong rolled up their sleeves, clearly itching to teach Fushi a lesson. Soon the other ancestral Wu arrived, each of them eyeing Fushi with cold, hostile gazes. Dijiang's expression turned grim. Fushi, this is not a battlefield. Why have you come to the Wu clan to stir up trouble? If you do not state your reasons clearly, you will not be leaving this place today. Fushi let out a cold, sharp laugh. I had previously thought the Wu clan stood for something noble, but I never expected you to be nothing more than spineless cowards who hide behind plots. A war between our clans should be fought with honor, yet you stoop so low as to deceive my sister. Such behavior is truly pathetic and shameful. The ancestral Wu looked at one another, completely bewildered. Fuxi, have you lost your mind? Your sister is the one designated by the Dao ancestor to become a saint. How could we possibly deceive her? Seeing them refuse to admit their guilt, Fushi's anger surged to new heights. Excellent, even now you still refuse to confess. Then tell me, do you think my sister is acting like her usual self? Later on, you even advised me to leave the demon clan. I have already investigated the matter, and my sister has visited nowhere else except your feather clan. Do you have anything left to say in your defense? The members of the D family were stunned, as they had absolutely no connection to the girl, and furthermore, the feather clan possesses the ability to divine their own kind. Since you, Wu Shi, insist on saying this, then it must be someone else who is plotting against your sister. Do you happen to know who this person is? It seems you people will not shed tears until you see your own coffin. I have long since investigated and found that this person is named Li Qingqi. If this man hadn't been spouting nonsense, how could my sister have been convinced to leave the demon clan? If you have the ability to do so, hand this person over to me immediately. Otherwise, do not blame me for being discourteous. Upon hearing my name, Zhu Wu immediately believed 7 or 8 parts of the story. If it were any other member of the Feather Clan, they wouldn't believe it even if beaten to death, but this kid actually knows too much. Furthermore, I am far too important to the Feather Clan to ever be handed over. Wu Shi, this person is of great significance to our Feather Clan. No matter what, we cannot hand him over to you. It is simply clear that your Demon Clan lacks capability. Even your own sister has realized that your Demon Clan lacks foresight. You really should just listen to your sister's advice. Houtu was very clear about the situation. It must have been Nuwa who told Wu Shi about it later on. Wu Shi did not believe the Demon Clan was at its peak, only to suffer such a defeat, so she felt someone had deceived Nuwa and rushed here. Fellow Taoist Wu Shi, I am Houtu. Nuwa was a guest here a while ago, and you say Li Qingqi is my disciple. Everything my disciple says is the truth, without a single word of deception, so there is no such thing as deceiving your sister. Just as Wu Shi was preparing to argue, a clear voice echoed from the sky. Big brother, what are you doing here? Hurry up and go back, stop following behind me. Having heard the entire conversation, she was deeply worried in her heart. I know so many secrets. He is definitely not an ordinary person. The Tao I teach concerns creation and can completely reach the realm of the primordial Great Luo Golden Immortal. This is something that even the old ancestor Hongjin does not possess. If my big brother offends him, then in the future, even if he wants my help, it will be impossible. Big brother, you must absolutely stop talking nonsense. Fellow Taoist Li Qingqi possesses immense strength beyond anything you or I can imagine. You must absolutely not offend him. Wu Shi laughed loudly. Little sister, you have clearly been deceived by them. This person, Li Qingqi, is just a disciple of Houtu. What kind of ability could he possibly have? Judging by his current strength, he hasn't even reached the Golden Immortal realm, so how could someone like him know so much? I was quietly cultivating inside the Pangu palace, with everything happening outside completely under my control. Thinking that this matter had nothing to do with me, and I was perfectly content to just sit back and watch the show, never expecting Wuxi to come looking for me. He must have thought I tricked Nua into some kind of scheme, pinning such a massive blame directly onto me, as if I could just shoulder the weight of it all. Hearing Wuxi question my true strength, I immediately stepped out of the Bingu Palace. You must be fellow Taoist Wuxi, right? I heard you were questioning my strength, and I moved at lightning speed. By the time I appeared right in front of Wuxi, he couldn't even react in time. Nua hurriedly spoke up. Fellow Taoist Li Qingqi, this is all my older brother's fault. Please don't take it to heart. Seeing Nua treat me with such courtesy, a nameless rage flared up in Wuxi's heart, as if the cabbage he had raised had been snatched away by a pig. Nua was never even this polite to him. So you are Li Qingqi, are you? You're the one who deceived my sister, causing me to leave the demon clan. As a mere junior, you dare to conspire against your superior. Today, I will personally teach you a lesson. As he prepared to strike, Houtu immediately stepped in front of me. Fellow Taoist, this behavior is truly uncalled for. Regardless of who Li Qingqi is, he is after all my disciple. And my disciple is not someone for others to lecture. I felt a surge of gratitude. Master, there is no need to worry. I don't really consider Wuxi's strength to be a threat. Houtu's expression changed drastically, and she said angrily, Li Qingqi, don't be too arrogant. Wuxi is one of the 4 great emperors of the demon clan. His strength has already reached the late stage of the quasi-saint realm. His power is unfathomable, so don't think you can be cocky just because you have a bit of cultivation. I waved my hand. Master, I am only speaking the truth. From what I can see, Wuxi's strength is nothing more than that. Even if I can't necessarily defeat him, he shouldn't. Wuxi's expression grew increasingly grim. Very well, kid. You're young, but your attitude is massive. Today, I am going to teach you a lesson you won't soon forget. I signaled my master to stay calm and not worry. Houtu knew I never did anything without being prepared, so she had no choice but to step aside. If that's how it's going to be, then watch yourself. This battle will be anything but subtle. Across the primordial realm, all the great masters were watching, yet besides a few from the Wu tribe, absolutely no one knew my true origins. Who on earth is this kid? He's so young, yet he dares to seek such madness. Wuxi is one of the 4 great emperors of the demon tribe. His strength is unfathomable. Even the ancient experts of the primordial realm wouldn't dare claim they could defeat him. On Mars, Dijun and Donghuang Taiyi were seething with rage upon hearing my words, feeling that I was far too arrogant to look down on the demon tribe. Big brother, why don't I lead the army to capture this fellow and make an example of him for the heavenly court? Dijun let out a cold snort. No need. He is nothing but an ant. This emperor does not even consider him worth the effort. He hasn't been cultivating for very long, this little brat. He clearly has no idea how vast the world truly is. Let Wuxi teach him a harsh lesson this time. And if the opportunity arises, killing him outright wouldn't be such a bad outcome either. I let out a yawn, looking utterly bored, and said, So, you're Wuxi, right? If you want to fight, hurry up and get on with it so I can go back to sleep. Everyone across the primordial realm gasped in shock. The kid was staring death in the face, so why was he still acting so arrogant? Could it be that he has truly decided to burn all his bridges? Houtu looked worried. She originally thought this would just be a normal spar that could be stopped at any time. But by acting this way, I had completely infuriated Wuxi. Things were no longer going to be settled so easily. She kept her eyes glued to the battlefield, ready to intervene at a moment's notice. Nua also looked displeased. After all, Wuxi was her elder brother. He had always taken great care of her, and she had hoped a simple fight would allow him to vent his frustration. She had intended to step in and apologize on my behalf once it was over. She never expected things to escalate to this point. Wuxi's face turned black as ink. Very well. If you are hell-bent on seeking death, then don't blame me for what happens next. Wuxi channeled his cultivation, gathering the energy of yin and yang, and launched a surge of pure, devastating power straight at me. I understood that, even though I possessed countless supreme arts, I couldn't just use them casually in front of everyone. It would be too much trouble if the Heavenly Dao discovered me, so I raised my hand and traced symbols into the void, condensing a myriad of talismans until a massive formation appeared before me. Wuxi's attack struck the formation without even a flicker, like a stone sinking into the vast ocean. Everyone in the prehistoric world was filled with confusion. What exactly was happening here? Since Wuxi's attack seemed so underwhelming, they assumed he didn't want to tear up his relationship with the Wu clan at Mount Buzhou, so he must have intentionally held back. Wuxi was drenched in cold sweat, knowing full well in his heart that he hadn't held back at all. He had just gathered 4 parts of his total power for that strike. Yet, it didn't move an inch. Even the strongest formation in the prehistoric world shouldn't have been able to withstand that so effortlessly. On Mount Qilin, the 3 ancestors furrowed their brows. Wanshi Tianzun let out a cold snort. This kid clearly doesn't have much real ability. He is only relying on the reputation of Houtu, though Master Tongshan wore a face full of caution. From the techniques displayed, he sensed a specific type of formation power. It was exactly the same as what he felt earlier, confirming that Houtu didn't have such profound knowledge of formations. If someone told him that Houtu had taught me these formations, he absolutely wouldn't believe it. A thought crossed Tongshin's mind. My true master must be someone else, surely a rare and powerful entity hidden within the heavens and earth. Wuxi was left wondering, how could he possibly end this? Since everyone in the prehistoric world already believed he was holding back, he might as well just play along. He would just have to swallow this loss. Just as he prepared to withdraw, the clouds above swirled and countless powerful auras descended from the sky. Dijun, Donghuang Taiyi, Kong Xuan, and other top experts of the Demon Clan had arrived. Thinking Wu Shi was outnumbered and losing, they came to lend their support. Wu Shi said, "Demon Emperor, fear not. This matter is a personal grudge between the two of you. No outsiders are allowed to interfere. If anyone dares to step in, they will be considered an enemy of the Demon Clan." Dijun cast a provocative glance at Dijiang. Dijiang remained unbothered, thinking that I am far too important to the Wu clan to be ignored. No matter what happens, I must be protected. Even if it means tearing up our agreement with the Demon Clan again, it is a price worth paying. Besides, since the Demon Clan initiated this attack, he would have plenty to say when answering to the Dao ancestor. Wu Shi felt deeply frustrated. He had wanted to use this opportunity to end things, but he never expected Dijun to lead an army here at this very moment. With so many eyes fixed on him, it would be even more troublesome if he didn't make a move now. However, he truly had no way to deal with my bizarre formation. He had no choice but to grit his teeth, unleash his full range of spells, and exert 90% of his power. I was shocked to my core. This surge of power actually carried a trace of the power of yin and yang. Although it was incredibly faint, the fact that he could perceive the great Dao of yin and yang under the suppression of the Heavenly Dao showed that Wu Shi's talent was extraordinary. I desperately added more talismans, pushing the great formation to spin even faster. The girl sensed something and felt a surge of shock, especially knowing that in terms of formations, no one could possibly compare to her understanding. It seems the big brother is bound to suffer a loss this time. Let him take a little hit so he stops thinking the demon race is invincible and learns to actually listen to his own sister. He truly needs to be taught a lesson. Wu Shi unleashed 90% of his power into the formation, creating a massive tremor. Some of those with weaker cultivation levels were sent flying backward. In that moment, my true cultivation level was finally revealed to everyone in the great desolate world. What? This guy has the cultivation of a quasi-saint? Isn't he supposed to be the disciple of Houtu? How is this even possible? Even though there are many quasi-saints in the great desolate, most only achieved it because Hongjun Taoist shared his teachings. Li Qingqi achieved the rank of quasi-saint entirely through his own cultivation. Everyone realized the truth, and they finally understood why Wu Shi acted the way he did earlier. It turns out he wasn't holding back at all. With a quasi-saint cultivation base combined with a heaven-defying formation, he actually has a genuine chance to stand against the late-stage quasi-saint Wu Shi. However, everyone still believed that this formation was a pre-prepared scroll, and that it was absolutely impossible for me to have set it up myself. Yuanxi Tianzun's face twisted with bitterness. Good kid, no wonder you can speak so arrogantly. So this is the reason he possesses such a powerful formation. It is just a pity that a formation meant for self-preservation is being used by him to engage in a brute force power struggle. It is a complete waste. Daijun was furious. You of the shaman race are truly going too far. Your disciple has no real skills of his own, and you even went as far as to prepare such a heaven-defying formation for him. In Dijun's eyes, everything I achieved was orchestrated by the shaman race to undermine the majesty of the demon race. A demon king failing to defeat a mere junior is enough to make all the beings of the great desolate mock him. Zhurong snorted coldly. What a bunch of idiots. They actually think these methods were prepared by us. As if anyone in our shaman race. You people are just overthinking things. Zhurong shouted coldly. Keep your mouth shut and speak less. If I possessed such heaven-defying abilities, and they were truly bestowed by the ancestral gods, no one would have anything to say. But once Zhurong let those words slip, the great powers of the primordial realm would surely begin to harbor doubts. Who knows how much trouble this will bring upon me? Zhurong realized he had misspoke and lowered his head in silence, leaving everyone in the primordial realm stunned. That's right, among the 12 ancestral gods, none of them are experts in the art of formations. So, is it possible that the one who has studied formations the deepest in the primordial realm is the Grand Master of Heaven, Tongshin? Could it be that my circular formation was bestowed upon me by Tongshin himself? On Mount Shilin, Laozi and Yuanxi Tianzun turned their gazes toward Tongshin. Tongshin shook his head and replied, It was not me. I have never met this person named Li Qingqi, and furthermore I fear his mastery of formations far exceeds my own. Perhaps he is a great master of divine powers who shouldn't even exist within the primordial realm. Laozi and Wanshi Tianzun wore expressions that shifted with every passing thought. Clearly, the primordial realm was not as simple as they had originally assumed. There were still hidden masters with immense divine powers lurking in the shadows. It seems the journey to becoming a saint must be accelerated. Deep within the Zixiao Palace, Ancestor Hongjin sensed the power of the formation laws, his eyes filled with disbelief. He felt the aura of the great Dao from it, restrained by the Heavenly Dao. How could anyone in the primordial realm grasp the laws of the great Dao? He tried to calculate, but he truly could not determine the source of this power. Hongjin felt troubled in his heart, but he let out a sigh. Everything beneath a saint is but an ant. Once I complete the fusion with the Dao, I will gain absolute control over the primordial realm, and nothing that happens here will escape my surveillance. It is a pity that he is currently at a critical stage of merging with the Dao. He cannot personally investigate what has been occurring in the primordial realm. Otherwise, he would have surely gone to see it for himself. Thinking this, Hongjin channeled the Jade of Creation and continued his cultivation, while the Sorcerer Clan and the Demon Clan stood in opposition at Mount Buzhou. Dijun and Dongwang Taiyi glared at me with fierce, predatory eyes. The 12 ancestral gods of the Sorcerer Clan were already difficult enough to deal with. Now, with the addition of a quasi-saint, the power of the Sorcerer Clan would grow even more formidable. Daijun pondered whether he should gather his forces now to strike and eliminate me while I was still developing. Houtu seemed to have guessed his intentions. She moved directly to stand in front of me. The other ancestral gods also instinctively stepped forward to guard me. Wu Shi, you were the one who went looking for trouble when there was none. Since the matter is already settled, do you really intend to keep dragging this out? Wu Shi's expression turned troubled. He knew he couldn't win a fight, but when it came to his sister, he had to be cautious. Fellow Taoist Houtu, it is not that I am deliberately being difficult, but this matter truly concerns my sister, and I cannot simply take your word that Li Qinghui did not deceive her. However, with the war between the god race and the demon race looming on the horizon, and considering you are an ancestor of the god race, it is difficult for me to take your claims at face value. Wu Shi's tone softened, but it was clear he was not willing to let this go so easily. Houtu was caught between anger and amusement, angry that Wu Shi was stubbornly targeting her, yet pleased that Nuwa truly had such a protective brother, much like her own brothers, who were also filled with concern. It was just that Wu Shi was meticulous and calculating, whereas her own brothers were far more rough and blunt, knowing only how to use their fists to resolve every problem. Thinking of this, Houtu frowned and looked toward Dijiang and the others. Dijiang and the rest of the group looked back, wearing expressions of pure embarrassment. What kind of situation is this? Could someone have actually made our sister angry? I honestly can't take this anymore. Once we find the culprit, we must give them a serious beating. No, that's not enough. We should call all the other brothers and sisters to jump them together. That's right, let's do this. If fellow Taoist Houtu cannot convince you, what if you include me as well? In the sky, the power of countless stars converged, and within the starlight, a figure appeared. It was the goddess Wang Shu. After returning from the Taiyin star to find Houtu, she realized that her own arrival had been slightly delayed. She only stepped forward when she saw Wu Shi making things difficult, and upon seeing her, Wu Shi was momentarily stunned. Wang Shu smiled warmly at both Houtu and Nuwa. When Sister Nuwa visited Houtu's dojo, I was present as well. Fellow Taoist Li Qinghui did not deceive Sister Nuwa in the slightest. Can it be that even my word is not enough to earn your trust, fellow Taoist Wu Shi? Wu Shi felt a flicker of doubt. He wouldn't have believed Houtu alone even if he died. But with Wang Shu adding her testimony, the credibility had risen significantly. Nuwa looked apologetic. My two sisters, I am truly sorry. My eldest brother did not think things through and has caused you both such trouble. Please accept my sincerest apologies. Houtu and Wang Shu smiled. Sister, there is no need to be so formal. The bond between us is deep, so please don't be like this. All things considered, I must congratulate you on having such an outstanding brother. Wu Hao looked a bit embarrassed, though I could only see him glaring at me with fierce intensity. Even though I was technically in the wrong, I refused to give him even a shred of face, especially since he caught me looking so clever and composed. He was terrified that Nuwa was far too innocent and would be easily deceived. You little brat, you might have some skill, but I am warning you to stay away from my sister, or don't blame me for being ruthless. With that, he vanished in a flash, leaving the rest of the demon clan staring at each other in confusion. They had arrived at Mount Buzhou with such grand momentum, only to end up as mere spectators. Nuwa looked at me, her face full of apology. Fellow Taoist, my older brother has a short temper. He is simply overprotective of me. I apologize on his behalf, fellow Taoist. I waved my hand, telling her, Nuwa, please don't take it to heart. It was only a minor matter. Actually, I happen to have a few things I need to discuss with you, Empress. Houtu chimed in from the side. If that is the case, this is no place for a conversation. Why don't you join me back at the Houtu Palace? Once they arrived at Houtu Palace, Nuwa asked, "I am not sure what you wish to ask of me, fellow Taoist Li Qingque, but I will do my best to answer. Tell me, Empress Nuwa, how long has it been since you last met with Patriarch Hongjun?" Nuwa pondered for a moment. "It has been quite a while. Ever since the great war between the god and demon clans, we have barely been in contact. I previously tried to pay my respects to my master, but he refused to see me, only sending Haoshan to relay messages. I think I understand now. It is just as I thought. It seems my deductions were correct." Houtu looked deeply concerned. "Qingque, there are no outsiders here. Just tell us exactly what is going on, and stop holding back. Ever since they chose to follow my cultivation method, it meant we were standing on the very same front line. We are all cultivating the great Dao, but the Heavenly Dao will never allow the living beings of the primordial world to master it. If discovered, it would mean total annihilation, so we are all grasshoppers tied to the same rope. I have long suspected that the reason Patriarch Hongjun hasn't made any major moves lately is that he is completely tied up. Of the 50 great Daos, 49 are in operation, with one remaining hidden, leaving the Heavenly Dao incomplete. Therefore, there must be a being with immense supernatural powers to merge with the great Dao. And Hongjun was the very first person in the primordial world to become a saint. Hongjun is the one meant to merge with the Dao. When Hongjun merges with the Heavenly Dao becomes Hongjun. If Hongjun does not become the Heavenly Dao, only then can he truly claim full control over its power." Nuwa frowned. "What does him merging with the Heavenly Dao have to do with us?" I let out a long sigh. This was the reason I had revealed myself to the especially within the formation that I have deployed. There lies a hidden glimpse into the laws of the great Dao. If Patriarch Hongjun were free to act as he pleased, he certainly would not have missed the chance to investigate this primordial world. After all, compared to the path they had originally mapped out, my arrival represents a complete variable. Yet in the end, Patriarch Hongjun did not show himself. This can only mean that he is currently tied up with other matters, unable to visit the primordial world in person. Therefore, he must be at a critical juncture in his quest to merge with the Dao. Houtu suddenly reached a realization. No wonder someone with your personality would take the initiative to provoke Fu Shi. So, it turns out you wanted to use this opportunity to test the waters. Seeing the reaction of Patriarch Hongjun, Nuwa's eyes lit up. "Does that mean I can attain sainthood right now?" I shook my head and asked, "How is your research into the Tao of creation coming along? After all, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." Nuwa smiled brightly, lifting her porcelain white neck, as if eager to show off her accomplishments. "I have already manifested thousands of worlds. Although the human race within them is still fragile, they are vast in number and have already become the dominant force in their respective realms. It must be said, though the human race appears weak, they are incredibly resilient. They strive to rely on their own strength to become the preeminent clan within their own worlds." Nuwa was secretly amazed at the growth potential of the human race. In the primordial world, the humans are destined to become the protagonists of heaven and earth. Even with the Heavenly Dao and the saints manipulating events, their capacity for self-strengthening is undeniable. If the Heavenly Dao cannot intervene, then why not seize this chance to create the human race now? That way, future plans will proceed much more smoothly, but you must remember never to merge with it. Do not absorb the primordial violet chi to become a saint of the Heavenly Dao. Otherwise, your cultivation will be permanently capped at the Taiyi Golden Immortal level, whereas using the faith of the human race to cultivate the Dao of creation is the true path. Nuwa nodded, and after hearing this, she prepared to depart. When Nuwa appeared upon the lands of the primordial world, she quickly drew the attention of many powerful beings. With the Sangwang holy water in her left hand and 9 heavens soil in her right, she began molding human figures out of clay. Just what exactly is Nuwa doing? It looks like she is just playing with mud. Using the Sangwang holy water and 9 heavens soil to mold clay figures is far too extravagant. Who else has such a foundation to squander like this? Watching this scene from the heavenly court, Fushi was left completely bewildered, like a blind monk unable to grasp the situation. Fushi's expression was full of confusion. "Fushi, Demon Emperor, if you knew that fellow Taoist Nuwa held so much Sangwang holy water and 9 heavens soil in her hands, you should have told me. I could have helped her utilize them. There is no need to be so wasteful." Fushi's face darkened instantly. "If you're asking me, who am I supposed to ask? This younger sister of mine has definitely been swindled by that guy named Li Qingque again. That man must have deceived her. If I weren't unable to defeat him, I would certainly give him a good beating." Inside the Zixao Palace, I suddenly sneezed, feeling perplexed. As a quasi-sage, can I still catch a cold? In Zixao Palace, Ancestor Hongjun frowned as he watched Nuwa's actions. As the representative of the Heavenly Dao, he naturally understood what she intended to do. Could it be that Nuwa has already begun preparing to create humanity? But the timing is several eons ahead of my plan. Why has such a variable appeared? Hongjun gritted his teeth in frustration. Since he is currently at a critical stage of merging with the Dao, he cannot intervene and can only wait until the creation is finished before summoning Nuwa to lecture her. Under the grand trend of the Heavenly Dao, the minor trends may change, so a slight fluctuation is of no consequence. On Mount Kunlun, Fuxi's face was filled with doubt. Esteemed brothers, do you know what exactly our sister Nuwa is doing? Lao Zi shook his head. I also do not know what she intends to achieve, but Sister Nuwa and I are the same. We are both destined to become saints. Perhaps her actions are related to the path of sanctification. Wanxi and Tongqin were expressions of utter disbelief. They were Nuwa's fellow disciples and the manifestations of Pangu's primordial spirit. As the orthodox successors of Pangu, how could they have been surpassed by Nuwa? The expression on Yuanshi Tianzun's face grew increasingly unsightly. Becoming a saint is not such an easy task. Although our junior sister is gifted, it is absolutely impossible for her to reach saint